love you guys. Dance off, bro. I have the high ground. Expecto Patronum! 39 days. What people want. Survive.
On the Tribe of Nerds.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Tribe of Nerds. Matt, Michael, and I are here to talk about another season. We're here to finally jump into Survivor South Africa with Survivor South Africa Season 6, the Philippines, which I think we've said certain seasons maybe like Survivor Gabon. This is literally the most Survivor Gabon-esque season that there's ever been for International Survivor, so I'm excited for us to jump into it. So let's start, of course, with our impressions of the cast in the season. So what did you guys think of South Africa, Philippines on this rewatch?
I absolutely loved this. I remember I've only watched this season once. So it was a long time ago. I just remember it being a mess, and it is a mess, but it's a really fun mess. There's so many episodes where it's just I can't believe how this is unfolding. So many crazy decisions, and it just odd players, respectfully. Like, I don't know, it was I get the comparison to Gabon in that way, or Gabon, however you pronounce it. But I had so much fun watching this, and if the final two had been slightly different, this could have ended being like a really top tier season. But even the final two kind of fits this bizarre season of Survivor.
Yeah, I don't think any other season could have this final two and still work. So
going off what Michael says, basically the same thing that I had. Like when I first saw it, all I remember was Werner dominating, and then the final two just being bad. But then on the rewatch, I like this season way more. Even though I still don't like the final two, especially one person, but I do appreciate the winner more now after watching to see what happened.
yeah, we'll talk
Same,
about
yeah.
we'll talk about the winner, of course, especially in our winner rankings. But I actually don't. I'll give more credit to them as we go because I do think they did some things really well. They also did a lot of things badly that we will point out. So,
Matt and I just made a secret alliance while they were talking to get him to number one.
Yeah, number one, baby.
It's happening.
Sorry,
no,
Golden
Versus
God.
one, what can you do?
We have Philippines Tom.
Yeah, the new Golden God, Tom Schwartz. All right, so let's talk about this cast, like just in general. I mean, this is a pretty interesting cast. I think you have a mix of some really good players, like on paper especially, and then you have some not so good players that you probably wouldn't see on many other seasons. So it's kind of a cool mix. But I like at least half the cast, probably a little more than half, and then the other half I'm just like, I don't know if it's like I'm confused why some of them are there, or like in a good way, or just like I don't know. But what did you guys think of this cast?
I also think you have some good like character growth in this season. Like someone like Katinka was someone who I compared earlier in my notes as maybe like a Jaden figure who was just kind of around, and you really see her. It's now my benchmark for players I don't enjoy. But then she really grew into someone who actually had a good grasp on the game, and I think maybe had a good chance to win at the end. So I really liked her journey from not really player Jaden to actually a solid player throughout the season. And I obviously like Werner is the standout of this season, and PK as this underdog trying to fight his way through. There's a lot of really good casting choices here, and then some insane people who just play so recklessly, but it's fun.
And then there's Martinez.
One of the best casting choices. I mean, I'm just saying it right now.
Legit, yeah.
Yeah, he is a good casting choice. But is he a good player? Probably not. I don't know. It's hard to judge because he just quits. But Well, we'll definitely get there, especially with this comparison about chess. But yeah, like I enjoyed probably I would say 70% of the players. Like besides like the probably I would say like the first five, except for Seamus, I didn't really like. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably Seamus and then Neil, and then
Yeah, Neil too.
probably
Yeah.
probably like the next three boots. I mean, I know Ace has some significance, but I also just like think Ace was never gonna do well on this season either. And then like obviously Stacey Lee and Mariska are, I feel like they're on the same, not quite the same level of Martinez, but like they both basically throw in the towel as well. So
You just said Stacey Lee, and I completely forgot she was on the season until you said her name. So that's yeah. So yeah. So definitely Seamus and
I, I,
Neil
I was
are
just
good.
nodding along.
I was like,
I was just like, yeah,
yeah, yeah. And then we also have Nico, which we obviously didn't talk about Champions or his other two seasons before that, but just like since we're on the first season of South Africa that we'll be covering here, what are your guys' thoughts on Nico as host?
Oh no.
You have to pronounce it,
I,
Michael.
I, I completely forgot that was a thing, and I've not practiced it. Someone's gonna have to send me it. So on the last deep dive we did for Survivor UK, I was challenged to say his name, and I thought that's fine. I've got weeks. I'll practice it, and I'll be perfect. But I forgot all about it until the moment you said his name. So if someone give me like a send me a message with, oh, there it is. Oh Jesus, it's so long. Oh, there's no chance. Nico Panagiotopoulos. Panagiotopoulos.
yeah,
Is
that
that
sounds
rubbish?
good. I don't know. That sounds
Okay.
good. I don't remember because
Sorry, Nico.
yeah, but yeah, well I know
But I really like him.
yeah, I know Mariska was able to say his name really well. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
she did. But now Nico's
You
really
guys do it.
good.
Why is it me?
I'm gonna botch it.
because
So.
you're the British one,
So did I. I didn't want to do it.
you're the sacrificial lamb. So
Are you seriously not going to do it?
Nico Panagio Tupulus.
It's easy if you go slow.
okay, fine. Oh God. Okay. Nico Pangio. I can't even get to the path. I can't even get to the second part. My God.
See?
I'm going to Google this and just see if I can find another way to say it before we continue.
While you do that, I will say, like, this is our third Survivor host that we've covered on International Survivor, and
Yes.
I really loved he's the first Survivor host I've watched where my impression was, don't fuck with this guy. He kind of scared me in some instances where it's like, you don't want to mess with him. He was very like stern with the cast if they were out of line. So again, a really fun shift from coming from Joel, who's just this lovable puppy, to like a strict teacher.
Yeah, and it's funny, like we'll get to it, but like Nico like yells at some of the players, like Neil in like the first challenge.
Yeah,
And like we'll get to that. But no, but he has some really fun lines, and then I do love like as these seasons go on of like Nico like playing the mediator in like conflicts and things is really, really fun to watch.
Before we continue, I Googled it and there was a audio version. Nico Pangiotopoulos. I think I got that right. But I was
that
just
sounds way better than what I did.
yeah, I was just impressed because it ranks it from very easy to very difficult. It is almost touching very difficult. I was like, yeah, it's a pretty hard name to say.
That's so funny. All right, let's get into the season now. So, episode one. So we start out on the barge, and we are immediately looking at the cast, and you have Martinez standing there looking like a psycho
Yeah.
in his suit.
Because I watched this before you guys. I was like, look back and watch Martinez because every shot he's just in the background in the suit, just like still. It's like he looks like a psycho.
He also has such a blank expression on his face all the time, so it's just like odd.
Well, and he's apart from every other contestant. Like all the other players are like kind of clustered together, and Martinez is just over on like the other end of the barge.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think if I had to compare Martinez to any other Survivor player, I would say he's like Shane Powers. Like,
Oh, don't throw Shane
I
under the bus like that. God no.
but Shane didn't actually quit. So.
I don't know.
Shane, I don't know. I don't know if there's any game
Shane-
merit to Martinez.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce it? I can't pronounce any of these names.
Martinez, yeah. That was
Yeah.
easy compared to Nico's.
But
Yeah.
the problem is the spellings don't match the pronunciations on any of them. So I'm trying my best.
I get that. The spellings are just very interesting on South African names.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, Martinez is just something. I agree that he's still like an interesting casting choice, like kind of a good casting choice in terms of like they knew they were just gonna get a character on the show for however long Martinez lasted. Obviously it doesn't end up working out because he ends up quitting, but like I'm glad that they did cast him because it made like what the first 6 episodes we have some really fun moments to talk about.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, he's at least a fun character. One early note in this as well is when Mariska says she hopes she won't be voted out because no one will know how to spell her name. Speaking on the spelling of the South African names, I thought that was quite funny.
Good logic too. I mean,
Yeah,
I actually liked her in this first episode, and then past the first episode, then she just falls off and just doesn't want to be there. So I don't know. It's very, very interesting. And then we get Mindanao and Luzon. So this is the second Luzon tribe in Survivor history after Cagayan.
yeah.
Yeah, so
A lot of bunch of references to Kagian this season because there's some challenges.
Yes.
I was like, it's like, wow, all we needed was Werner or Tom to go top 5, baby, top 5, and then
I know.
like the full thing.
that's so wild to me. Like they knew like South Africa must still have been like, well, Cagayan is like the most popular recent season at the time, so let's just take from it and like use it for this season, and it worked. So like that helped it be more enjoyable to me.
yeah.
And then
Sorry.
You can go.
It was on we start on the raft challenge,
Mhm.
and every time I see this challenge in Survivor, I'm too stressed to enjoy it because I just feel like these kind of challenges are just an accident waiting to happen, where you see them all like flopping out into the ocean on a raft, and it just I remember like some seasons where people like catch their legs or like they're hitting bamboo and cutting themselves. It's like I can't enjoy it. I'm just like, get everyone to the beach safe. This isn't worth it to me. I'd be slowly shuffling down off that board.
Yeah, because like you said, ever since speaking of Philippines, Jeff Kent in U.S. Philippines, he's the one who got his leg like caught up and then it injured his knee for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
I get nervous every time. Like there's one shot where Jean gets on the wrong boat and then she jumps and she's so short she barely makes it, and like I just felt my knee tear like as she was like just like because it's wet and slippery and like everything.
Yeah, well, and speaking of which, we get a fun interaction between our final two of where she jumps on the wrong boat and Tom's like, "You're on the wrong boat, baby girl," or whatever. There are like again, I will enjoy some of these Tom lines as we go. I have a couple of them in my notes that are just really, really something.
I got some positive things to say about him.
So, while we're talking about the marooning, would you guys go after the bread as hard as they did? Because one, you have to throw it onto a boat, so it's probably going to get wet, and then the bread, as Nico says, it will last like 30 seconds in this game.
I don't know that I would, just because, you know, as soon as it falls into the ocean, it's going to become soggy bread. So
I just eat it on the boat.
Yeah. Yeah, some good food to like get you ready and start out good. So, all right. And so then they have the race to get the rice, and Mindanao wins the reward. Mindanao starts out very, very strong in these first couple episodes, winning like 4 challenges in a row. And so this starts their amazing winning streak at the start at least. So
Well, to be fair, they had an unfair advantage by not being named Busan, which is one of the losingest tribes of all time.
right. I mean, yeah, you're setting a tribe up for failure, and I think Luzon was also cast with the craziest people on the season, aside from Martinez. Like,
Yeah.
so, it just they were set up to be chaotic. Um, and then so we get to the beaches, and so at Mindanao, I have Jean trying to get the Women's Alliance started. She's going to be a man hater on this show.
Immediately.
That was funny. And then Werner immediately, as we see, I also do want to mention it because he asks Nico to call him Uncle Varys, which is I don't know the reference.
No, I missed that
So
completely, and then like all the way through the season, I was like, "Why is he calling him that?"
yeah, I had no idea. So if we ever get Werner on, we can ask that. So but he does play hard immediately, goes off and immediately finds the clue for the idol that's going to be at the balance challenge in a couple episodes, which he then ends up eating the clue because of what happens to
Yeah,
Martinez that we'll get into.
gobbles it down. An
Yes.
insane choice. Again, day one, why are you eating a bit of paper?
It's so funny.
Like, there's no reason to. I get the idea of getting it out of your bag because someone might find it, but you don't need to eat it. You could
So
bury it. You could get rid of it somewhere else. Because even if someone finds it later, no one's going to trace it back to you. Well, this has got Werner's fingerprints on it. You don't need to eat
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it just so fits this season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
just him
chaotic.
on the rock, just eating it, like using salt water to wash it down. Like, what are you
Oh,
doing?
I'm not eating something that's been in salt water. So,
Oh,
um, all right. And then, so he eats it because the tribe goes through Martinez's bag and finds a typed up final tribal council speech, which is the dumbest thing I've ever seen someone try to bring to the island. Is like, you don't know how the game's going to play out for one. Why are you bringing this typed up speech?
but can you imagine if he got there? Because if
Yeah,
he pulls out a type at that point, if it's genius if it works. Because if he gets the final tribal council and he pulls out a typed up note, and he's like, I knew I was going to get the final tribal. I even prepared before I arrived on the beach. People's like, oh, that's pretty confident of you. So maybe it could be good. But yeah, it's just for that to be the thing you bring. It's like, what am I going to need on the island? Well, I should probably prepare my final tribal council speech.
I don't.
see,
What were you gonna say,
see,
Matt?
see, the way to do it is for the loved one letters, have your loved one send the type speech during the letters, and so then you have extra room in your bag. Just saying.
That could
Yeah, and
work
just
too.
put like whether or not everyone's doing okay at home as like a PS on the end. Like, PS, we're good.
Yeah, and then also say sorry, but your dog died. Although I don't know if you
Yeah,
have a dog.
dog, grandma, something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your fix on Oscar's doing good. Just
Exactly.
cover all your bases. I got
Exactly.
Harry in.
Yeah, your Harry reference for the episode. Perfect. Um, so along with that, Martinez is just immediately annoying everybody, especially PK and Tevin. Like that relationship is so much fun, just how much Martinez
Yeah,
annoys both of them. Um, and he immediately kills a snake and laughs like a psychopath. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and kills it for
They
no
don't even
reason too.
take it, do they?
yeah.
He just killed it. Yeah, it's just like Lord of the Flies. He's gone rogue immediately. We also at this point get Tevin just telling everyone that Martinez found an idol clue,
Yes. Yep.
just to further paint him as someone that we should just probably get rid of.
Yeah, and I mean like Tevin's goal in the game is to like he says he is just gonna try not to tell the truth. He's gonna hide as much information as he can, which I don't know if that's the reason for things to go south later on, is that he's not completely honest with his closest allies, but I don't
Yeah,
know that we'll talk about that later.
like Survivor is a game where lying is, often helpful, but it's not something that it's like, I should come in and lie about everything. It's
Yeah.
like there's a balance to that, and it's like it was almost an excuse for him to lie. It's like, I get to lie to people, fantastic.
Yeah. I really liked Tevin though. He was one of my favorites in the season as well, besides Werner. Spoiler alert maybe for that, but for favorite player of the season. But like I thought he was gonna go a lot farther than he ends up going. But
Yeah, he has that kind of AK position where it's super focused on him. I've just been watching 2017 AU Survivor, so he's on my mind. But based on the edit, you assume this guy's sticking around, and they end up going just before merge.
Yeah. That's actually a really good comparison with AK.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
thank
except
you.
Tevin's second time doesn't go well for him either.
No, not at all. Way worse too.
Yeah, yeah. So then we go over to Luzon and we immediately get introduced to Seamus, who is immediately overplaying and bragging that Survivor is like losing your virginity.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it is one of the
Amazing.
best quotes. It is one of the best quotes ever. I have it written down. First day of Survivor is like losing your virginity. Hella nervous and mostly exciting, and only thing on your mind is you hope you last longer than you thought.
I
So good.
I
Like,
honestly
legit, exactly how I felt.
I really like Seamus, honestly, as like a fun villain. It sucks that, his Survivor journey is not uh super successful at all. But he is someone that I've enjoyed watching both times,
Yeah.
even though it's been very short.
Yeah.
I
So
enjoyed him while he was around. Honestly, that quote popped me so hard. I was laughing. It's
So
it's such
good.
a perfect comparison. You always see in these first episodes of Survivor people trying to make comparisons and analogies to what Survivor is like, and they're always just kind of wishy-washy and nonsense. That's the first one where I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
that's perfect.
It checks out.
And then you have Tom revealing his jokey side, playing pranks on the rest of the tribe, and immediately kind of painting himself as someone who is going to be a likable threat, social threat later
Yeah.
on, as Seamus immediately uses this to try to target Tom. So,
Yeah, Tier
which,
1 Tom, very different to how Tom evolved.
yeah,
He was very like affable and fun. Yeah.
yeah, I really liked like this introduction to our winner here, which is just shocking how the middle of the season goes for him.
Yeah, it works out.
It does work out somehow. And then two distinct sides form, so you get the Seamus plus Vusi and Josie, and then Tom, Neil, Annalise, and Shanae, and Ace is in the middle, and immediately is painted as the outcast. I did read on Wikipedia, which it's Wikipedia, so that take it with a grain of salt. It said like Ace got on the season through some sort of it was like some sort of thing where he was chosen to be on the season or voted into the season or something.
Oh,
So,
that's
which
interesting.
yeah, which I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that explains why he's such like this wild card type player. But yeah, that I just saw that on Wikipedia and I was very intrigued.
This is a little bit mean, but my first impression of Ace was, you need to shave your head because you look like a baby bird.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, because he's losing his hair. It's like you have to make a choice, man. It's like just
Yeah.
get rid of it.
The baby
Dang.
bird looking.
Yeah, poor Ace also just getting pointed out by multiple people as just being the outcast and being like someone that just doesn't fit, which I've been there before in just terms of feeling like an outcast, but I don't know. Ace definitely seems out of his element, as Neil will point out.
Yeah, but
I think
I'll
it did
give
well.
I was going
Yeah.
to say, I would give Ace more credit as the outcast versus Martinez, because Martinez seems to do it on himself, whereas Ace is just judging by looks and
Well,
like
yeah.
appearance. Yeah, he was already on the outs.
Yeah.
And he did like recover and he got himself into a good spot, and then he kind of gets swap screwed essentially. But so I do think from the position he was in, he did recover well and had some allies in the game that could have pulled him through.
Yeah, I don't deny that Ace does get a little bit swap screwed. We'll talk about that. I do think his continual overplaying, though, I think is really what seals his fate in the end. So I don't think it was as cut and dried as he was immediately going to be the target because of getting swapped. I think he kind of did it to himself a little bit too. But
Yeah.
all right. And then we get to the immunity challenge, and this is swimming out to get the fire supplies, build the pole to get flint, and make fire. The notes, so Mid and Now is going to win this challenge when John and Stacy Lee beat Tom and Ace. Other notes, I have Nico yelling at Neil because Neil is like the third person to like build the pole or whatever, and you're not allowed to help the fire makers do that. So that was really interesting because it's not even like once, it's like 2 or 3 times that Neil gets yelled at.
Like really sternly, like
Yeah.
get back.
It's like, geez, Nico, really?
I know.
Yeah. Say my name, damn it. Say my name, and then I won't yell.
I was just like, I don't know why Neil is like getting yelled at that much for this.
I feel like Nico was trying to find his place as the survivor horse. He's like, I'm not gonna he's like the supply teacher that comes in and he wants to assert dominance over the classroom. So he's like, I'm not letting these kids walk all over me. Not on day one.
Right. And I mean, like, this is what Nico's actual 4th season of Survivor SA hosting, because the other three were with a different production crew. So like this season was like meant to be a sort of reboot, kind of, from what I understand. Because you go back and watch like Nico's first 3 seasons and they're much different production quality.
Yes.
So
I did not realize that.
yeah, no, I mean,
it was a good point apart from that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit different as well, his hosting style in this one compared to the first 3. I mean, I didn't watch 3, or his first season, but I watched 4 and 5 of SA, and yeah, it's just very, very different.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mindanao is gonna win the challenge, and Tom got his ass beaten by 2 women, so at making fire. So
Yep. Nice humbling moment for him.
yeah. And it's so interesting. The final 2 are both competing in this fire challenge as well. So just really interesting to point stuff out at the beginning. So then we're gonna further get into Sheamus's demise here. So Sheamus gets caught trying to get Tom out because he tries to get Annalise and Shanae on board, and they go and tell Tom that Sheamus is gunning for him. And this is one of the first moments where I'm going to give credit to Tom completely, where he the night before tribal council, he goes to Ace and he gets Ace to not vote him out, basically by having this chat with him at night when Ace is having like a panic attack. So like
it's like a really like a human one from Tom and exactly what Ace needs to hear. I also found this really odd in terms of how Survivor usually works, where they lose the challenge, they go back to camp, and then they have this conversation that night, and it's tribal councils the next day.
Yeah. Same.
So it's odd. Usually tribal council would be the night after the challenge, not the following day.
Yeah, I found that interesting too. So like, yeah, the challenge was on day 2, the tribal's on night 3. So very interesting. And then any other thoughts on this episode before we get to the tribal council?
Yes, I have a couple. One is Shanae pitches Sheamus to give him the blindside he was craving.
Yes.
Which I always just love it when stuff like that happens. And then Shanae tells Tom about the plans, so then Tom immediately confronts Sheamus And then it just reminds me, like throughout the entire season, Tom keeps saying Shanae is his best friend. It's like, well, if my best friend told me that, I would not just immediately go throw her under the bus too.
Yeah, this is we talked about a good play from Tom to save himself, but here was a very bad play from Tom.
Yeah, the counterbalance immediately. Yeah, I really like how Shanae. How see, this is my problem. Shanae,
Shanae.
Shanae, yeah.
Shanae, like handled this and switch things around onto Sheamus. So that was a really good early move for her.
Yeah, I would credit both her and Annalise for this. Absolutely, they were the ones who got this move going, and then obviously Tom getting Ace to flip. So, all right. Anything else? Are we ready to hit the tribal?
I just have one thing from earlier when Martinez gets to the beach and they're like building the shelter. And then Katinka goes, I study film. And then Martinez goes, we need somebody who can analyze houses. And I just thought that was a really funny line.
Martinez does not want to like talk to Katinka. Like he very immediately like discredits her because she's so young. So so we get to tribal, and so it's clear that it's gonna be either Sheamus or Tom. And ends up being a 5-4 vote, and Ace flips, and Sheamus is our first boot of the season, and we will find out that he will be the second first boot in history to return after Francesca. So,
Francesca.
Yes.
Francesca. Go walk.
Any final thoughts on Sheamus?
I liked him.
Yeah,
it's a shame. You could tell he was super excited to play, and this is a fan's worst nightmare.
Well, and in any other season, I don't think Sheamus is first boot particularly. I think he makes it through this round, and he had people on his side, so it's like not the worst game from a first boot ever. So it's just unfortunately how the chips fell, and I think maybe I honestly feel like he could have still gone for Tom, but he should have just not told Annalise and Shanae, and like, maybe things wouldn't have mobilized against him. So
yeah, he was just playing too hard.
Yeah.
Too fast.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind seeing Sheamus a third time. We'll talk about his second time, but at some point. But is what it is, and we are going to head into episode 2, which is another one of the craziest episodes in Survivor history after an already crazy premiere. So what I have, this episode starts out with Katinka is leaking the girls' alliance to PK. So PK is immediately like fishing for all this information, and we'll see Katinka all throughout the season does not know how to hide information from PK specifically.
Yeah.
And then Jean and Stacey Lee are annoying everybody with their arrogance, especially Stacey Lee. She is, I don't know, Stacey Lee is just this very confusing player in these first 3 episodes. I don't really get where her mind was at. I don't think the other players knew either. So I think she was definitely a bad casting choice.
Yeah, I don't have much on her.
Yeah, it's the same. Every time you say her name, I think you're making up a lie and making up a character who's never even on the season.
Yeah. I'm very happy she's the first boot from this tribe in another episode. When PK and Tevin actually do rope in Martinez and Werner for a guys' alliance to counter the women's alliance, which is very, very interesting that they rope in Martinez for like a couple of episodes till they're just tired of him.
Yeah, it's like we just see this all the way through his time where they've decided that they're going to work with him, but how can we work with someone that annoys us this much? It's just constantly trying to deal with Martinez just being insufferable. Is that the right word? I guess.
Yeah, that's the word. So then after this, we do have our reward challenge, which is the colored cubes challenge, with like you have to have all the colors on the right side. And this is where Mindanao is once again going to win, and they're going to win chickens. So,
Yep. And then Martinez immediately wants to kill the chicken because he never has.
He's so thrilled. He's killed a snake, and now he's got to kill a chicken. So it's perfect for him. They also said Mindanao winner chicken dinner, which I thought was quite good.
Isn't this the challenge where also Mariska gets called out by Nico for sucking in the challenge? It's like, geez. She's literally just like walking over to get like the box unlocked and she gets called out. And I think that speaks to her mind just started not being in the game. Like very
I mean,
quickly.
she did deserve it. You said it. She was just walking over. It was so casual, just like in the middle of a challenge, just slowly strolling over. So at least have a jog.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I won't have too much to say on Mariska more as we go along until her boot episodes. And then Palessa does find the lose on idol clue for the same one for the same challenge that Werner has. And this is going to come in handy for getting Ace back to their side. So
yeah, once we get there, it's such a badass move by her.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then our immunity challenge is another Kagiyan challenge with the number combination puzzle where they have to get through the obstacle course and then like line up all like the code for the lock combo. And Mindanao wins again. The other notes that I have from this challenge is that they see Seamus is gone, and I think it's Tony that says shame on Seamus. And then Nico's great quote where PK is like hacking the rope with the machete, and Nico's like, PK like a tiger. Just like, what does that even mean?
Famously, tigers use machetes.
Yeah.
What aren't you understanding?
Yeah. Have you ever been to South Africa, Jake? Jeez.
Apparently not.
That's on their flag. A tiger with a machete.
All right. And then as we alluded to, so they get back to camp after Luzon loses another challenge, as is their name. And Palessa makes the move that ends up making another game-changing flip happen. And she bluffs the idol package to get Ace to flip back right before Tribal. Which is a very, as you said, Matt, like a really badass move. I think this is definitely what gets Ace to do it. I also think like he had a great relationship with Josie, I think that got shown in the first episode a little bit. So I think both those things combined. And maybe that's like also bad on those four, like Tom's alliance for like going for Josie instead of like, I don't know, they probably should have picked a different target. So
yeah, she put the fear of God into Ace. You could see the absolute terror in his eyes.
Yeah.
It was completely badass, and Palessa's going to be. She just kind of stumbles her way into these things so many times now. The season where she just picks. Oh, I got a clue. Great. Yeah, she uses. Essentially, she has nothing, but she manages to make it work for her, which, sometimes the threat of an idol is just as powerful as an idol itself. And she plays this absolutely perfectly, leading to one of the most insane tribal councils in Survivor history.
Yeah, absolutely. So we get to tribal council, and this tribe is very clearly divided. And it turns out, like, basically Neil gets elected as leader.
Yeah.
Long live the leader.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, poor Neil. And so the leadership election happens, and then we end up getting a tie between Annalise, who refers to herself as the lion.
Oh my god, I'm just laughing so hard. Neil gets elected leader, and then what happens?
I know, it's so
perfect.
Ridiculous. So yeah, it's a tie between Annalise and Josie, and we get to the rock draw, and Neil draws the white rock and is the second person out. What? this is episode 2, and we're already like so tied to your alliances that you're willing to go to rocks immediately. Like,
Yeah, no
what?
chance I'm going to rocks. Uh, Like there's been so few rock draws in Survivor in general. It's such a rare thing, and just for episode 2, just on a whim, let's just do a rock draw because none of us are willing to budge. It's wild, and yeah, Neil, the new camp leader, hasn't even didn't even get back to the camp that he's supposed to be leading before he's out the door.
I feel so bad for him. I actually was talking to my friend Austin Foe, and I think because we binged through our initial watch of all these South Africa seasons together, basically. And we were talking and we're like, I feel like if Neil makes it through this rock draw, I actually don't think Neil's in like this terrible position. I think that
Yeah.
Neil was respected enough and he has someone like Tom who's going to take the target off of him regardless because Tom's just very loud. And I say that as he's our winner, but like but also just like I feel like Neil is in a position to at least like probably make merge if he doesn't get rocked out here. So
Yeah, I agree. He's one of those kinds of players that can fly under the radar for a little while. He's helpful back at camp. He doesn't really rub people up the wrong way. I do think Neil had a good shot at being in it for the long haul, but the Survivor God said no.
nope. Poor Neil. Anything else to say on Neil before we move on to episode 3?
At least he got a rock.
Yeah, as he said in his voting confessional, this game is cruel, and then it turns out it was.
Very true.
It was, yeah.
Bring Neil back.
I think we're fine. I mean,
yeah.
I would rather go out
Hashtag justice for Neil.
like as a iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Return of the Outcasts, I'm glad they picked the people that they did. So for the pre-merge tribe, but
Neil doesn't come back. See,
no.
after this season, I'm on a first view, so I don't get Neil back. That's the only reason I'm doing this.
Sad. Oh boy. Well, I can't wait for Michael to find out who
does come. Who does come back? It's Martinez, back. Baby. He's
yes. The kin.
If Neil doesn't make the cut, who do they pick?
You'll see. All right, episode 3. So they get back from tribal council after Ace has flipped again, and you get this iconic Tom quote of "Not all snakes are legless, not all sharks are in the oceans," and says Ace is spineless, and revenge is a dish best served cold.
Spineless, gutless weasel. Tom does not take the Neil vote well, the Neil rock draw well.
Yeah, well, and like, he's mad that the other side is really happy about Neil getting rocked out, which, I mean, to be fair, you probably shouldn't just like, but it is like a reaction to being like, okay, we actually made it through after being on the bottom of the last vote. But like, I guess I get why Tom's mad in that perspective.
Yeah, I get both sides.
I do also understand like the frustration. Yeah, because Ace has suddenly found this new confidence in himself, where he's like, "You don't need to dictate to me," and he's being a lot more confident around camp. So it's like, he didn't have any of this in the first 6 days or whatever it is, and now he thinks he's king shit, I guess.
Apparently. And then back at Mindanao, PK is still about this women's alliance, so he goes against Tevin's wishes and pressures the women about the women's alliance.
He asks them all. He just goes around and asks them all. I feel like you're going to push them into a women's alliance if you're not careful. What are you doing?
I think luckily for PK, I don't think some of these people are the greatest players. So.
Yeah, and they may not be fans because Jean says that an all-girls alliance can't work because girls can't keep secrets. Have you ever seen it work? I'm like, Black Widows? What the fuck?
And Kim Spradlin, yeah.
That's right.
Like, it's happened, John. It's happened. And then Blessa and Werner see balances on the tree mail, so they know the idol is going to be up for grabs, which I think is a very good twist. I think like letting them know what challenge to look out for if they make it past the first couple of votes is pretty good. And like
I love this.
Yeah. And like obviously like obviously they're gonna make it through the first two episodes, or I don't think they'd show them having these clues. So
Like Survivor UK, where we didn't see any of these things.
yeah.
Well, they definitely would have showed Places because that came into play during the book.
Palace's would have come into play, but Werner's, I guess I don't think they would have shown it. But I mean, Mindanao didn't go to tribal anyway. So
before we get to the challenge, I have some quotes I want to say. So after the vote out of episode 2, Annalise and Ace are talking. Be happy with what you did, and then Ace goes, "I'm really happy," and he has a big smile.
Yeah.
And then also Tevin tells Martinez to continue being himself and will continue to be annoyed with you.
I think that actually becomes authentic after a while.
Yeah.
Oh, doesn't Ace also try when Annalise is like, be happy, and like, isn't he also trying to do the Hannah situation in Millennials versus Gen X where he keeps trying to explain himself and then Annalise just keeps shutting him down?
Know when to be quiet, Ace.
Yeah, please. So then they get to the challenge and you have PK on Neil being out. He says that doesn't make any sense.
Which is true. Which is logic. PK is right.
Which just is funny, but for the season. Just
they should have been like, you have no idea.
Yeah. That's the tagline for the season. This doesn't make sense.
So the reward challenge is the balance beam. Oh, or you're gonna say, Michael?
Yeah, just getting into the challenge and on this how they did this idol, I just thought it was brilliant to have it in such a public place.
Yes.
And so much of the idols is all hidden. It's in the name. But having it be so public and have people on both tribes that are aware of it. And there's no way to get this idol. Suddenly had like a brain aneurysm. Getting this idol without being seen is just near impossible because you'd have to completely bend down or swim over and someone's going to see you. So it just devolves into this absolute chaos of everyone knowing it's there and just even Tom being like, Shanae, look down. It's get down on your stomach and look down. It's like, oh, thanks, Tom. And then he's like, that's mine, by the way.
Yeah, it's like, no, she got it.
And she gives it to Tom.
I know.
Like, I'm sorry, Shanae, but that you should have just kept it. I mean, I get that you've been working with Tom and you don't really have a choice, but like, I think she should have just kept it.
They're BFFs, so I mean, maybe Tom was telling the truth.
Yeah,
the exact quote was, "Put that in your pants, please, because that belongs to me," which is not a great sentence.
No. If you say that out of context, it's kind of hard to.
Oh no!
Speaking of quotes, when Werner just like dives in,
jumps off,
to get the idol, someone says, "I saw that," and then he goes, "Everyone saw that."
Even Martinez notices it, which is like, if Martinez like catches on to you getting an idol, then you know how
wrong.
Yeah.
The thing is, Werner was in a really impossible position to get it. Based on where he was in the challenge, it like by that point everyone had clocked it, or a lot of people had. So it's either you let someone else get it or you just go get it. Right. There was no way for him to get it without it being completely obvious. So he just took the hit, I guess. Worked out well for him though.
Yeah, it did. So then Luzon actually wins their first challenge because Mindanao can't get across the beam at all. Tom says that he's willing to sacrifice the idol just to get revenge on Ace.
That's our winner, baby.
Yeah, this is hilarious. And then Werner does the only thing he really can do at Mindanao. He shares the idol with everyone as like a team idol. I mean, not really much else you can do at that point. Everybody knows you have it. So
does he hang it up? Or am I misremembering that?
Maybe I think he may have when he said, "I got this." At least for everybody.
First, yeah. I don't remember that. The only time I remember someone hanging up an idol at camp is Marty Piombo, Nicaragua. So
the chess grandmaster.
Yes,
all right,
the chess grandmaster.
Call back to chess. There we go.
Another messy season.
Yes, and not a great Messi.
Yeah, and not great Messi.
All right, and Jean and Stacy are clearly on the bottom. Tevin says none of them like Stacy.
Yeah, straight to the point.
And Stacy decides she wants to throw the immunity challenge. Then the tribe agrees to do it so they can get Jean or Stacy out. What is this decision?
I mean, like up until that point, she hadn't mentioned wanting to go, and they clearly wanted John out. So that I guess makes sense. But then they throw the challenge, and then their entire plan gets thrown up in the air because it's now she just wants to leave. So it's like we threw a challenge for someone who wants to quit. She could have just quit.
Well, that's the thing. I don't understand what the point of her wanting to throw the challenge is. Like she wants to quit, so she just throws it for the rest of the team. I don't know. It's so confusing for me.
Because we don't say that she wants to quit before the challenge is lost, do we?
No.
Only after.
Yeah. So but surely she must have been at least thinking that. So maybe she was thinking, if we saw the challenge, we can go to tribal, and I'll tell everyone I want to go. But if you want to leave, just leave. You're screwing your team out of, a tribal where the other tribe could have gone and lost a member of their tribe. And if you want to still leave, you can leave.
Yeah, I mean, I think if, let's say, Luzon does lose and Stacy quits, they probably would have said that the tribal's canceled, to be honest.
Just after. Immediately after tribal ends, you go.
So then we get the immunity challenge, which is the Millennials versus Gen X challenge with like the war clubs and the different paths and the puzzle.
I always like this. I always like this challenge where they have to make a choice to do the shortcut or not. I wish they would do this more.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. Like, I don't know, a lot of these challenges that they took from US Survivor, I mean, mostly all of them this season are just really good in my opinion. So
yeah.
So we have Martinez talking a lot of trash, which is really funny. And you have Nico's iconic quote after Martinez starts stepping in to get them to solve the puzzle. The master puzzle builder has joined the fray.
Has joined the fray. So good.
It's probably my favorite Nico quote. So
my favorite Nico quote is when he says his name. I just want to say.
Oh yeah. So Luzon does win the challenge despite Martinez joining the fray as the master puzzle builder. So then Stacey Lee wants to quit all of a sudden after pushing to throw the challenge, and PK even pushes Stacy about throwing, and she lies horribly about it.
Yeah. No, not one of the best players. We might be hearing about her at the end when we do our rankings.
Yeah, I agree.
Or in season 9, if she comes back.
Does she come? No.
No. So then we get to tribal, and this becomes intriguing because Werner wants to push Martinez out at tribal to protect from an idol, so to make John and Stacy think like they won't need to play an idol if they have one. And instead, Martinez takes it literally and thinks Werner is literally throwing him under the bus, and he has a meltdown at tribal.
This is so frustrating. And it's not just this one episode. This continues for the rest of his time in the game. He just completely misunderstands.
Yeah.
He was like, Werner is against me. It's like, he's not against you.
Yeah.
It's like, how can you not just at least understand the idea of fake conversations at tribal council? And you can see his little heartbreak and as they're talking about him. Like, no, they've got your back. Why are you doing this to me?
At one point, Tony whispers to PK or Tevin is like, what the F?
It's mad.
Yeah. And then, so then after that, Martinez votes for Werner. And Stacey Lee is still voted out 6-2-1. PK also throws his vote on Jean. So, in case of an idol. So, Yeah, not upset to see Stacey Lee leave. I probably would say she's my least favorite of the season, but we'll get there after we talk about it more. But any other thoughts on Stacey Lee or this tribal?
Who?
Nah.
You, yeah, the Mary Sartain of Strong
Yep.
South Africa.
I can't believe you do her last name too. God damn you,
Yes.
man.
All right. Episode 4, this is where we are going to get the swap, but on the fallout from Mindanao tribal, Martinez no longer trusts Werner. So
Martinez.
He tries to explain, and he's just explaining what happened, and Martinez is just completely oblivious and thinks it's all just backpedaling. I mean, at that point, you can't work with the guy.
right.
I feel like if Werner doesn't swap away from him, if there's not a swap at this point, Werner's done with him. There's no way that
Yeah.
you can work with that.
Yeah, I think Martinez is gone if it's not a swap and Mindanao loses again. I absolutely think it's Martinez.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the swap and we have the eggs on top of the poles.
Yeah.
Lessa finds a clue in her basket, so she
Another
just
one,
lucks
yeah.
into another thing.
Yeah.
It's just, man, I wish I had that kind of luck. I'm just gonna say that right now. It's just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But I do like how they have the egg, because every season South Africa always does something different. Because there's one that has paint, then there's one that has water. So I just like how they do mix up the swap, like how they do every time.
It's
Yeah.
the Aussie egg.
The
where
South
Aussie gets
Pacific.
his,
Yeah,
South
South
Pacific.
Pacific. Because I always think of
Paint shirt,
Aussie. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the most iconic one with the egg for sure.
Over my heart. Over my heart.
Yeah.
There's,
And then- and then-
there's also a really funny moment where Ace fails to crack his egg. He's just there with his egg. It's not breaking.
Poor Ace. So we got our 3 tribes now. It's swapped to 3 tribes. So the new Mindanao, Martinez, Katinka, Tevin, PK, and Annalise swaps over. The new Luzon, which is Werner, Tony, and Jean, swap over with Ace and Josie. And the new Visayas tribe is Tom, Shanae, Vusi, Palesa, and Marishka with them. So interesting tribes. I mean, the fact that we have 2 tribes where there's one person with 4 people from the other original tribe is really, really interesting. And then, of course, the other tribe is a 3-2 majority. So,
and then there's a moment where Tom tells Marishka after the swap, "I'm nervous for you." It's like, don't say the quiet part out loud.
well, that leads to Marishka immediately hating Tom.
I don't blame her. Like, if somebody like when I got screwed on my swap, if everybody was like, "Sorry, Matt," it's like, "Fuck you, I don't want to work with you now."
Yeah, what? Why are you telling me this? So we do get the reward challenge for the choice of camps. It's the mud crawl, shake the basket poles, and land the beanbags on the little platforms.
I'm sorry. Yeah, shake the poles or just break them.
Yeah, or break them. Yeah.
Yes.
So I believe this was in San Juan del Sur, Blood versus Water 2. Again, taking a challenge from at least around Kagia. So Luzon wins first place thanks to Werner, and they get the new camp, and Mindanao in second place from Martinez, and they get the Luzon camp. So did the new camp have like already built shelter? Did they have to still? Okay.
No,
yeah.
it was already built.
That's what I thought.
But before they even got there, when it was announced that the third tribe would be going to another beach, Werner was so happy. He's like, there's another beach for us to play on. Like, he's just like so giddy.
It's so fun. And so then Mariska immediately hates Tom, as I said. She is considered the swing vote. So we see that basically she can either go with Palesa and Vusi or Tom and Shanae. And it very much seems like she's already leaning towards Vusi and Palesa.
Yeah, a better player survives this tribe swap quite easily. She's in the perfect position, especially when she works out the dynamics between the players from that original tribe. And Tom's very like pushy with, you're with us, we want to work with you. And it's he's super confident that the way to get someone to be on board with you is you just shout at them that you want to work with them.
Yeah.
Our winner, everybody.
Yeah. And speaking of that, he pitches Palisa to work together, and she wants to take a few days to think about it, which I'm like, I don't blame you.
Yeah. I was
Yep.
so nervous when all this was happening that Shanae was going to be like the
Yes.
person who takes the fall because of this madness. Obviously, does Tom have an idol by this
Yes,
point?
he has
Yes.
the balance beam idol.
The
yeah.
one that Shanae give him. And then Palesa's obviously got her clue and she'll get one. I was like, Shanae's going to go because of all this madness, and I'm so sad. But luckily,
Yeah.
it doesn't go.
Yeah, because like I definitely think that we'll get to that next episode, of course, because it definitely seems like it should go that way, because based on what we're seeing. But Tom and Palesa are very passive aggressive towards each other. Tom says Palesa has a couple choices. She can choose to sneak attack him, and like that's what he literally tells her. So you're making the choice to sneak attack me. I'm like, what are you doing, Tom?
Not the sneak attack.
So then Palesa's clue is to the idol at Tribal Council, the Adam Klein podium idol. So this obviously season came out a couple years before Winners at War, and Adam got inspired.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, because this is where Adam found out about that. I'm still okay. I'm going to change topic here a little bit. I'm still mad at Winners at War, because if I was Jeff, I'd be like, yeah, this does count as an idol. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jeff hates international survivors.
Yeah, but it also does give us a great quote of it was worth a shot. Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Speaking
then
of idols.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
Speaking of idols, this is also where we get a really interesting idol clue where it's like carved into the shelter
swing.
Yes.
at the new camp, which leads to Ace just digging to China.
Oh my God. And what, doesn't he lie about it and say like he's building like a fire pit or something?
Like fire shoot to get like the heat to the shelter. It's like, and
How
he's
does
just
he not
digging.
find it?
I don't know, because he was digging in like exactly
In the right
where,
place.
Yeah, and then it was like a long thing too. It's like, and everybody just lets him dig. It's like,
because then Werner finds it in the exact same place. I have no idea the amount of digging he did. How does he not find that idol?
Maybe he's not digging deep enough, and with Ace,
I was about to say that. Damn it, dig deep enough. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
got to dig deep.
Yeah. Well, and Ace is such an erratic player. I can see him literally just digging everywhere, just not deep enough. So, all right. And so then Martina's also at Mindanao. He starts insulting Katinka, saying she was oblivious on the old tribe. And we're gonna get it next episode. It escalates to the point where Martinez tells her that nobody cares about her. So
Oh yeah, okay. Let's save that. Let's save that. I have a lot of notes on that.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So Tevin talks about he's going to cut the rope, pulling Martinez behind the bus. So and then we have Ace singing, which I'm surprised they were able to air in the episode for copyright reasons.
It's South Africa, so they may have different laws.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of Ace, we have one of my favorite Werner moments of the entire show, where Ace tries to bluff that he did find the idol.
Yes,
and
yes.
Werner just cold as ice, just looks him dead in the eye and says, "I don't believe you. Show me."
Yes. I love that.
Ace was nervous, and Werner just sees right through him, and it's fantastic from Werner.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic gameplay. So the immunity challenge is the tower of blocks. They have to build that tower of blocks and try to let it stand for like 5 seconds or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So the Visayas and Mindanao tribes win that challenge, and Luzon is going to head to tribal, and it's basically going to be Josie or Ace. I mean, it's definitely going to be Ace because everybody is nervous about him overplaying and being crazy. Yeah, you guys covered what we already covered what I have in my notes before tribal. So we get to tribal. Ace talks about being swap screwed, and Jean calls him out, being like, well, why didn't you two come to me, being like pitching something. And so I don't know necessarily that they were in a bad position because of the swap, but I don't think they played it correctly at all. So
I know.
Yeah.
One thing we didn't actually cover, which is crazy, is that Jean is locked in with these people, and she was the target. They
Right.
managed to completely not let her know that she was actually in danger. If she was aware of like if Werner and Tony weren't as good as players as I guess they are, she could have known about that and very easily been swayed over. But they managed to have her be the target without her ever really finding out about it. It never comes up again that that if they went to that tribal council, had Stacey not wanted to quit, she would have been the next one voted out.
Yeah, that is crazy to me that like Werner and Tony really rope John back in and like keep her thinking that she's in a comfortable position the entire time. So,
and especially Werner, like that's for the long haul.
Yes.
It never really comes back to bite him until the very, very end.
Yeah, unfortunately. So yeah, Ace is voted out 3-2. Ace and Josie try to vote Werner out. Obviously, that's not going to fly. So yeah, I mean, anything else to say about Ace? I want to say like I'm a little surprised, I guess, that they didn't go for bringing Ace back. Just because of like the impact he made on the game, but also like again, I don't think he's that great of a player. So
yeah, and then when you look at the cast of season 9, I don't know who he would have taken the place of.
No, I would rather see all the people that were back instead of Ace.
Although I can't imagine if Dante and Ace were on the same tribe. That I actually would have loved that.
I think Dante would have been really upset with Ace.
Yeah,
from the get-go.
Just a little.
One last thing on Ace, jumping all the way at the reunion show. Ace has a really fun moment where they ask him about him digging for the idol, and he says, "I've only just got back home. I actually just kept digging all the way back to Cape Town." That was a really fun quote from him.
Yeah. Well, see you later, Ace, and 3 of the first 4 boots are men. So, very interesting. The men very much take a hit in this season in the first half. So,
okay,
right.
Jean. I mean, I think that was all. I think that was Jean's plan.
Yeah. Jean got her wish. All right, episode 5. This is a pretty interesting one. So back at Mindanao, we have a lot of Martinez in this episode doing very weird things. Martinez talks to PK and suggests voting off Tevin, which PK tells Tevin about, and they have that great argument on the beach where they basically tell Martinez he's a dead man walking.
Yeah, considering PK is so against the idea of voting out Tevin, I guess that idea really stuck in his mind somewhere. But
apparently, oh my God, this is so interesting to like look back at this moment and be like, of course PK's not going to turn on Tevin, but then it happens later. So it's so wild.
While we're talking about this of Tevin and PK talking to Martinez, I have some notes. Tevin and PK give Martinez a lesson of discipline.
Yes, discipline, yes.
Yeah, Tevin is so cocky about it. But then he also has this great quote in the conventional. Martinez is like the question on the test that no matter how much studying, you can't figure out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have them disciplining Martinez in my notes. So.
And speaking of Martinez, this is where we get him saying, "Is it Katinka?" Where
he says nobody cares about her.
If you die, no offense, nobody cares. Life goes on.
Yeah, life goes on.
You come back to PK and Tevin in the shelter, kind of laughing, saying like, "How can you not take that without offense?"
Yeah. PK's like, "That's offensive."
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do if I was there at camp while this conversation was going on. I'd be like, he can't actually be saying this.
Yeah, it's one of the wildest things anyone's ever said on Survivor.
It really is.
Martinez is just odd. So then we get the immunity and reward challenge, which is the monkey bars with a slap puzzle, and reward is for food and biostrat, which
biostrat.
Yeah, we talked about this in our chat off air, and just like we were wondering what biostrat was for like half the season.
And then we had to Google it.
It looks like they win cough syrup.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
But as I've said, after I found out what it was, I would prefer this over a big chocolate thing. So
yeah. Because what I've heard, Survivor New Zealand literally did a bag of melted chocolate as a
They did.
reward.
Yeah, because they had no money.
God, that'd be disgusting. I'm not eating a bag of melted chocolate. Um, so yeah, so this is the challenge from Australian Survivor 2016 and like second chances and stuff with I just know Nick Danza beasted this challenge. Uh so the
And so did Jean, because she could do the
yes.
monkey bars. No, I'm kidding. She could.
Yeah, she's Werner has to literally go back and help her through
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so Luzon and Mindanao win the immunity and reward. And
And, hold on. And then John has a great quote when she goes to get the idol. I'm tall enough for this.
Also Mariska literally demands Tom and Vusi don't speak when they're solving the puzzle, which is just the oddest thing to do is like demand your tribe can't help you.
No, I think it was more towards Tom, but like if you're focusing and then you have like different voices, I can kind of understand her logic, especially when Tom is the person shouting.
Well, that's true. I guess I don't know. I mean, she wasn't doing well without the communication anyway, so I mean, I just think they needed to communicate better.
Well, I mean, she was doing better than Rome did on the most recent episode of US.
Well, that is 100% true.
It's not that hard to do much better.
She had to put more pieces
one piece.
And then I have the reward that Martinez eats a wrap in a very weird way. He's like he like holds it sideways and like takes a bite out of like the middle, I think.
That is weird. Yeah.
And Jean, her tribe says she's seen as, or I think Werner says she's seen as a liability, or no, Jean says it about herself. She thinks she's seen as a liability, but she's happy with her body. Which
That's
good for Jean. She approaches Werner for a final two alliance, which is
but why?
And unfortunately, that's not going to pan out because I would have loved Werner to be.
I would have loved that. Yeah, exactly. I feel so bad for Werner. And we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. And then Tom campaigns against Marisha, calling her dead weight.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, but like, I understand what Tom's saying. It just he tells the wrong people.
It's very cutting. He doesn't mince his words.
Yeah, I think maybe it's also it's just don't say it that way.
Yeah. Tom doesn't hold back because this is also the episode where he accuses police of UC for eating more fish. So it's just like, Tom, I don't know if there's like a way for him to shut up. It's like he's like Neo Wayne. You just need that zipper on him.
That I feel like that's the worst insult that Neo's ever had.
He's better than that. Although I do like Tom.
Yeah, well, I mean, Tom won Survivor unlike Neo Wayne, so
that's right.
Yeah. All right. So then after that, Tom and Plessa reveal their aisles to each other in the argument. And Plessa says Tom will get the shock of his life, which definitely makes you think that Shanae is about to get blindsided because they know that Tom's going to play his idol.
Yeah. Although I do. Oh, sorry, go.
Especially because Plessa tries to put Shanae's. Doesn't she try and put Shanae's name out there to try and get Tom to misplay his idol?
Yeah, she tells Vusi to put Shanae's name down as well, and then her and Mariska are supposed to both vote Tom, and so
it feels like she's going to be caught in the crossfire here massively, and then and she probably should have been. I don't know how Mariska manages to mess this up so badly.
Well, because she apparently doesn't want to be there. And so Mariska Tribal says she's only partially in the game, which Nico calls her out on. So, and Plessa, which gets Plessa to switch her vote at Tribal. And Plessa gets the podium idol. which Adam Klein wishes he got.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. And then I do like before going to tribal, Tom's like, "You don't have an idol. You don't have an idol." Then as he said, police is going to go and show him. And then when she gets it, he's just like, okay. He's just like he's just that impressed. It's like, so am I.
yeah, yeah.
You say it as Lesser, as much as I disagree with you, that was shit hot. Such a good quote.
So then Tom plays his idol for himself, negates one vote from Mariska, but Palessa joins Tom and Shanae in voting Mariska out. So
Yeah, Paletta doesn't play it. Yeah, she manages to hold on to it.
yeah, yeah. I mean she knew it was basically between Tom and Shanae and Mariska. So I mean
Yeah. But also Palesa has a tendency to hold on to her idol.
yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. I'm good to see Mariska go again. Kind of another one of the duds of the cast for me. And so this was actually like pretty satisfying, although it's someone basically quitting at what could have been like more explosive as far as the end result of who got voted out. But again, this was very satisfying. We got to see the 4 people from this tribe keep moving on. So.
She does go out making me laugh though, because Tom squeezes her on the shoulder comfortingly, and she just says, "Don't squeeze my shoulder."
Jeez. All right. Anything else to say? Are you ready to hit the Martinez quit episode?
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. So Werner finds that idol clue that we alluded to earlier on the shelter and shares with Tony. And then we have Martinez at Mindanao saying talking about the chess quote. Matt, you can give that if you want to.
Okay, I will in a second, but let's go back to Werner and the idol.
Yeah.
One. After Ace got voted out, they had to come back to that camp. That is a danger. Like there was a big trench in the middle of camp. I just want to point that out. And then Werner has this awesome quote after he finds the idol. Those idols are for me. Their sole purpose is to take me further into the game. So
yep. So
Werner, such a badass.
Werner's the second person to have, or not second person, another person to have 2 idols at one time. I don't know why I said second, but
and then as for the chess thing, Martinez, like he builds a chessboard, and then he gets mad at PK for not giving up in chess, because Martinez is like, if I'm losing, I'm just going to quit, which does come back. But as a chess champion, there have been many games where I'm losing, but I just keep going because a lot of times the other player will make a mistake, and then you're able to capitalize. So just never give up. That's just what I'm going to say. Thank you, John Cena.
Okay. I was just too slow.
Yeah, Matt stealing Michael's thunder there. All right, so then Martinez then tells Annalisa to start going.
Yeah. Okay. You say. Okay. I think you're going to do the Tevin one where Martinez is talking to Tevin, and he goes, "Thanks, bitch. Go get the water and do the woman's job."
Yep.
Yeah, he did say that. Oh my god.
That was my next one. Yep. Not good. Not good.
Not at all. And then Shanae on Visayas, Shanae is now turning against Tom because he's ruining her game, which I think she's a perceptive enough player to know how she can try to fix her game a little bit as much as she can. So it just didn't work out at the end of the day, but at least she doesn't completely stick to Tom knowing it's torpedoing her game. So is this where
like when the perception is that you were tied in with a certain player and that player is rubbing people up the wrong way, you can't keep associating with that because it's only going to end badly for you. And she was forced into this situation with him, really, and now she's at this swap where he's continuing to rub people the wrong way, and it's not the game that she wanted to play.
Yeah. Is this?
I'm sorry.
I was just gonna ask, is this where he is licking the utensils and stuff?
Is this? It's this? No, not that one. That's the chocolate one.
Okay.
But talking about Shanae and Tom and people rubbing them the wrong way, this really reminds me of season 47 of Rome and Genevieve. So I'm going to be curious to see what happens with Genevieve, just to see if she falls like Shanae does, if Rome wins. Oh my God, sorry.
No, it's good. I love throwing in Survivor US references as
Yeah,
well.
so now people know when we filmed this.
Yes.
Oh
We're
yeah.
for the time, yes. And then yeah, Shanae makes a deal to work with Palesso and Vusi. And then we're gonna get to the immunity challenge where it's announced that 2 tribes are going to lose, and it is the human chain with discs from Australian Survivor 2017. So Michael,
Yeah.
there's your reference to that since you're rewatching it. So I like this challenge. It's cool to have a tribal endurance challenge. We don't see those too often.
Well, or like every Australian season, I feel like, because they
Right.
always have like to hold up heavy things. So
Yeah, at least we don't see this
This-
often in US Survivor.
Yeah.
So
if ever, have we?
I feel like the strategy on this challenge is just drop your middle one all the time.
mhm.
Just focus on one. Like
Yeah.
you see them like this, and you're only gonna end up dropping out. If every other person just drops one, and you've got duos just holding one side, I just do that straight away.
Yeah, I agree. Um so this is where also Martinez is gonna talk shit about Tom to him.
During the challenge.
Yeah. And at one point the show edits it after Tom drops of like Tom is gonna go over there and punch Martinez in the face.
I actually really like that. Tom is quite fun. Like he does have a prickly side, and he is quick to anger, but he is also quite a fun person at times where he does go over like looking like he's going to be aggressive and just kind of pulls him into a hug and laughs. But yeah, he really rubs him the wrong way in that challenge.
Yeah. It was a funny moment.
Yeah. And then for this challenge, this is when they get the Steers hamburger, because
Yes.
everyone knows that flame grill just tastes better.
Yes.
Steers, if you want to sponsor us, please do. Also, Jake, you were right, because my next note was Shanae doesn't like that Tom licks the spoons.
Yes.
And I agree.
Yeah, don't do
He does
that
it
when there's
multiple
other
times.
people
Yeah,
eating.
multiple times.
Yeah. This was not good. So Visayas does win the challenge, obviously, as we alluded to. And then we get back to the Mindanao tribe. Martinez tells them he is going to quit. And we have Tevin and PK agreeing to write down Botch Martinez's name because he asks them not to misspell his name. So we get
Matthew
Martuanus.
The biggest missed opportunity of the season not to be able to write down Matthew Anus. It's one of the funniest.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, because if we can't blindside Martinez, we might as well blindside his name.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Luzon, Josie tries to throw Werner under the bus to Tony, which Tony obviously tells Werner at that point that's happening. And Werner finds the second idol underneath the shelter. So we already said that. And Werner wants Josie gone to maintain Mindanao numbers. And we get to tribal council. Nico tells Martinez to just leave.
Yeah, just get out. If you don't want to be here, just leave. It's so funny.
This is a Jeff Probst move of just telling someone to get the hell out.
Yep.
So, and John talks about how she's unaware of her actual position. And we get a great Tevin quote of Tevin talks about how this is a we game and not a me game. And he wishes Josie was on his tribe, which, wishes do come true, Tevin. So, and we get the Australian Survivor twist as well. I don't know if this was like, I guess it would have been actually planned had Martinez not quit anyways, because they had 2 tribes going. So this was intended to be a non-elimination round. And Josie and Annalise are voted to the other tribe. And Josie brings Tony over and Annalise brings Katinka over. So thoughts on this twist here?
Yeah, I mean it's I like that. It's clearly Nico telling Martinez just to leave is like, you're ruining our twist. We're gonna just get out so we can still do this. Yeah, I mean, luckily it's not one of those seasons that overdoes the twist. It's fine. It's a bit soon after a swap to be doing like another swap within a swap, but it does lead to Tony having a rough time over on the other tribe, which I think she would have been pretty safe with Werner on that tribe, and that relationship probably would have maintained itself better. So her going over to the tribe with PK ends up being one of the most interesting dynamics of this post-swap
post-swap
to merge period. Yeah.
Post-swap.
Post-second swap to merge.
Yeah. I kind of like still that someone does end up going home, even if it like Martina's going home just because it keeps the flow of the season going. Although like one non-elimination isn't going to cut the flow off. So I do think this is probably the best non-elimination twist that's been done in Survivor. I like that you're going to vote someone to the other tribe and bring somebody with you for a little extra padding, I guess. So
I don't know, man. Purgatory. I think that's still the best non-elimination twist.
Nope.
Didn't they? Isn't it the same as what they did in 2016?
Yeah,
Australia.
Nick Iadanza.
Yeah.
This is the Nick Iadanza saving twist that makes sure we keep Nick on our screens for half the season. So, any other thoughts on Martinez? Are we ready to get to a very interesting betrayal?
I don't have any thoughts, but I have one of the most insane trivia facts that has ever happened.
Ooh.
So, after he leaves, he just tosses his buff. 1 year later, Katie Gallagher from Palau visits the island to honor Jin Lion and finds the buff.
I did hear about this, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like, that's just like the most insane thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. Martinez was just so done that he threw his buff away.
He didn't care at that point.
Yeah. All right. Goodbye, Martinez. And now we are at episode 7. And episode starts off with Jean basically telling all the information to Annalise, and Werner is talking about how Jean is handing out information like it's sweeties. And then on the New Mindanao, Josie is the cat with 9 lives, and it turns out to be Josie's 28th birthday, and Tevin talks about how he's nervous about beautiful people.
Okay, Brandon Hance.
They can make you nervous.
But here it comes off as funny and not creepy.
Yeah.
All right. We do get to the reward challenge, which is moving across the barrels and solving the puzzle for pizza. And Survivor pizza never really looks that good. So,
well, at least it was cooked instead of the frozen pizza in Heroes vs. Villains Australia.
That's crazy to me still, how for such a big budget season they gave them cold pizza.
Yeah. And then, potatoes and a fishing rod for one. I think.
Beans, because Jean was mad that it wasn't coffee.
No, I'm talking about rubbish Survivor was that they did like they gave them potatoes and a fishing rod for fish and chips in Australia.
Well. In Australia and All-Stars. Yeah. Because apparently Australian Survivor hates their All-Star seasons.
Yeah.
They just give them shit rewards.
Yeah, apparently. All right, the Mindanao and Luzon win the reward, and we get back to Visayas, and Tom is yelling more for no reason, including at his only ally. So,
well, to be fair, Shanae doesn't know how to debone a fish because she's trying to kill everybody.
Apparently. And Shanae and Palessa consider throwing the challenge to get Tom out, but they don't end up going through with it.
Nope.
And so then we also get Werner catching on to Annalise and telling us like how good of a player she is, which is pretty cool. I think Annalise is like one of the most under-edited people in the season, despite her being like the fallen angel of the season. So I mean, I think she's a very good player. It's just her edit. Well, she gets a better edit than some other purple edit players. Like she I can see why it's a little bit frustrating for her to not get as much.
Yeah. If I had to give her a comparison, I would say she's like Janine from Champions versus Contenders 2, but without the edit.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that because I think both of them, I guess, had some similar positioning for sure. So then we're going to get to PK gets big move-itis. This is before the challenge. And PK pitches blindsiding Tevin to Tony. And this is where we're also going to get the bombshell of Tony revealing to PK about Werner's second idol. So,
Yeah.
which is going to end up Tony really ending up screwing herself in multiple ways. I mean, both her and PK, but it's just we'll talk about this when we get to the tribal council shortly, but just like I don't understand what the pros of really keeping Josie around are at this point, other than okay, they want to get connections to the original Luzon, but I just feel like they don't understand that they're burning the bridges with Werner, and like them seeing Tevin gone, it's not going to make sense to them. So
Yeah, especially, I mean, Tony had a really good relationship with Werner up to this point, and then I feel like she misinterpreted. I'm jumping ahead slightly, but when they're saying blue, 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 it's not meant to be this aggressive thing. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, get things back on track. So I feel like she clearly wants this relationship with Josie, and I feel like it's just frustration because she ends up having to lose her anyway, which I get, but yeah, losing Tevin at this point it's just rough because he was with them, and it is big move-itis, as you said. There's no reason other than for a big blindside. He wasn't someone that was going to be coming for them at any point in the near future.
Yeah, this is a really bad move for both of them. So it just and I would consider them both like logical players, but this is just an illogical move.
We even get the confessional that we always get before disaster of the player going home saying, "I'm feeling confident."
Yes. Yeah.
If the producers are ever asking you that question before tribal council, probably red flags start to ring.
Yeah, for sure. Tom also sees he's on the outs at Visayas, so Tom is like at least aware enough to realize he screwed up. So I will at least give him a little bit of credit there.
Yeah.
And so then we get to the immunity challenge, and this is swimming to release the buoys and shoot them into the basket. So like the Scott Pollard challenge of shooting the basketballs.
God, I'm actually impressed that you're able to compare every challenge to a US season.
I know. So this is Vusi and Katinka are gonna dominate shooting the baskets, and Mindanao, like they're not even throwing the challenge, they're just sucking, which is a little surprising because they're not like they're physical people. Like this isn't a situation.
Well, they're also on the tribe that has no food. So even though they won the pizza, like there was a conventional of Tony's like, this needs to last me for the next 3 days. This is my only food. So she's like, I'm going to eat this now and then do this, save the crust, and then when we have a soup, I'll dip. I was like, okay. So at least she's playing it smart, like not like eating all the food. So I think that's probably why they may have lost.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Or they're just bad swimmers. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's just a little shocking because I definitely expected them to do better in this challenge going in. So, and yeah, so this is going to be also the start of the arc of Vusi being really good in the challenges and everybody being scared of him. So then we are going to get to tribal, and this is where I think Tevin starts to realize he's being flipped on because PK's not really looking him in the eyes or anything, and like very much.
Yeah, he sees it coming.
Yeah, acting very skittish. And Tevin is blindsided, or I guess at this point it's probably not a blindside, but like, yeah, Tevin's voted out 3-1. So
it's funny that this episode starts with Tony telling Josie that she made a bad move, or made a dumb move even in coming over here. And by the end of this, she's saving her and voting out an ally in Tevin. It's just a very quick turnaround.
Yeah, I just think like I think going into the next episode, if they keep Tevin around, they get rid of Josie, and that's gonna maybe that'll clue Werner in to maybe like have a consideration of maybe throwing that challenge, because I think in that position Werner can safely throw the challenge and they can get another Luzon out and then be in a really good power position in the merge. So
Yeah, that makes way more sense. Yeah.
So I don't, but obviously they don't do that. They don't keep Tevin, so obviously Werner's not going to throw the challenge. So
Yeah.
So yeah. Any other thoughts on Tevin here? Again, I really liked Tevin in this season. He was gone too soon in my eyes, and it sucks. What happens to him the second time, where he does even worse, which was not something I expected, and we'll talk about his downfall in a few seasons, but.
Yeah, really fun pre-merge player.
Yeah. Like he is somebody I can definitely understand why they brought him back.
Yeah. This is like one of the defining moments of this season, even though it's just pre-merge. So,
well, let's not gloss over Martinez killing a snake and a chicken because he wanted to.
Yeah, I forgot. That's like the king move of this season.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Episode 8, and this is probably, I don't think this is a bad episode by any means, but it's probably the weakest of the season because
you know what's going to happen. Yeah, because it's so obvious.
Yeah. So PK and Tony feel like the game will no longer be on old tribal lines, and I guess they're kind of right about that because they just basically made it so that Werner will no longer work with them. And then on Luzon, Werner is being used as a shield by the women, and Katinka is trying to push for Jean to be the target.
Also, this is where Werner does yoga with the girls because no one understands women more than him. It's like, okay, well, I mean, I guess that's one way to say that.
Yeah. All right, and then we have the reward challenge, which is the snake in the sand challenge, which is always a fun challenge to watch people wiggle around in the sand and contort their bodies.
Yeah, or do a full 360 that Katinka does by falling down the hill. It's like on her neck. It's like,
Yeah, that looked painful. And so the reward challenge, so Visayas and Luzon win, and this is for the chocolate. And this is where Tom eats like a pig.
Again.
This is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. Because he double dips, and then he puts his whole hand in the chocolate fountain. It's just like, and then Shaunae's like, I can't even finish.
Yeah, I'm Team Shawnee in this situation for sure.
It's so gross.
Yeah. And yeah, Vusi is talked about openly by the other tribes as being a threat. So setting up his downfall in the next episode. And Werner does approach Annalise himself about cutting Jean. All right, we get to the immunity challenge, and this is from, I remember this in Worlds Apart. They use this ball cheese hole board for multiple seasons though, but I remember this exact one was in Worlds Apart.
Holy moly.
What were you gonna say?
Oh, the challenge is called Holy Moly.
Holy moly. Okay. Yeah. So Holy moly, and this is where Visayas and Luzon are once again going to win another challenge, and Tony and PK and Josie are devastated. So we also get Shanae and Annalise are going to gossip on the sit-out bench, and Shanae reveals Palessa's idol to Annalise. So, it's cool. It's cool to see these sit-out bench moments because, I mean, I guess we've seen these in the new era now as well. So,
well, they've stopped doing it in the new era after Claire in 44 because she was talking. She was talking to everybody during the challenge because she always sat out, and then now the benches are farther apart, so they can't talk.
Oh, so they completely changed this. Okay,
yeah, which is why Claire calls herself a game changer now, which I think is funny.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the main thing was that because she sat out every challenge till she was voted out.
That too.
And now they changed. I knew they changed that rule which should have been in place way before 44, but. whatever. So then Tony and BK believe voting out Tevin unified them going into the merge, which again, very Ron Reed. And Josie is voted out 2-1 over PK after she tries to pitch Tony to them sticking together, but obviously Tony's not going to betray PK. So okay, so now we get to episode 9, which is the merge into a Raw tribe. Before we get to the first individual immunity, what do you guys got for as soon as the tribes merge at the final 10 here?
Steer's Feast. It's the most fancy merge feast I've seen. They have like proper tables. It's almost like the Last Supper. That's what I had, where it's like 2 tables with a seat in the middle and steers everywhere. They got their branding in there.
Yeah. Matt, you got anything?
Because everything tastes better when it's frame grilled. I'm just saying. Tom has this quote, "I made merge. That's insane." Yes. Yes, yes, sir.
For the post-swap game that you've played so far, Tom, yes. And I mean, this is South Africa, I think, is, they have this trend of they name the merged tribes for the players, so which is very, very interesting.
I didn't actually notice that was a thing, so they just gave them that name.
Yeah. That, I think it's interesting. I mean, saves us from getting some really bad names, but I mean, Australian Survivor was pretty good about coming up with unique names.
Queen Elizabeth.
Well, I mean,
if that would have happened, it would have been great. Instead, US, we get America and no bag.
Yes, yeah, and then we haven't cared about the merged tribe name for many seasons. So.
Honestly, if somebody asked me if any of the new era merge names, I don't think we've ever been told it.
I really don't even remember any of them either. So. Anything else before the individual immunity challenge from you guys?
I liked how Tony and PK broke down at making merge, because that was a very emotional moment, and I don't blame them. So
yeah, absolutely. Michael, anything else you got?
We have Shanae dyeing her hair strawberry blonde.
Yeah, the rusty water.
Yeah, rusty water. And I feel like she's been down on herself because it looks just as good.
Yeah. I mean, she's a beautiful woman either way.
I agree.
Yeah, because you guys think that she is a chatti gatti, which is South African slang for a beautiful girl.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah, she is.
I'll log that.
Yeah. All right, we get to the immunity challenge, the first individual immunity, and it is the Kagion A-frame doghouse challenge, which is another iconic endurance challenge, and this is where Tony is going to win the first individual immunity.
And this is ironic because in Kagion, where they do this, Tony loses the challenge to Wu.
Yeah.
That's true.
I was so proud of myself for that one.
Good job. I've also never heard it called a doghouse, so I was just laughing at that, just imagining. I never thought about that.
Yeah,
the doghouse.
I think I think that's what they called it before, but I
don't know. But I just liked it. And then, but this one isn't as cool as when US does it, because they do it in the middle of the ocean, so there's waves and making it harder. Here, they're just almost like on a lake, so it's not as impressive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So post challenge, we do get Vusi and Tom campaigning against the other. And it appears Werner wants to pull Tom in. Do you guys got anything else before Tribal Council?
We have Tony wanting to tell PK it's Palessa to flush her idol. Because they know they can't trust him at that point, so it's like a test in order to see if that information gets out there. Yeah,
I think that's a very good plan. Matt, anything you got?
I have a couple notes before we actually get to Tribal. Back at the merge, when they get back to camp, they get gin and tonic, which I don't know if they've ever. I can't think of many seasons where the entire tribe just gets free alcohol.
Yeah.
In like a big water jug, though. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, and it was like because they're like, oh, I don't want some water now, and then they do it, and they're like gin and tonic, and then you see Vusi and PK just bolt to the gin and tonic,
Mhm.
and then Tom also has this quote: "I've lost my BFF. That's what I've lost," referring to Shawnee. I still don't understand where this BFF comes from.
Mhm. Mhm.
One-sided BFF.
Yeah. The other Messiahs are trying to also take out Katinka because they think she's a big social threat and kind of running the show with Werner. So, which is very, very interesting. Anything else? Are we ready to hit tribal?
On Katinka, it just reminded me there was one earlier where Sean is like, hearing Katinka talk strategy warms my cold. What was the exact thing? When Katinka starts talking strategy, it warms my cold, cynical heart. That was a nice little quote from Sean as Katinka finally starts to play the game.
Yeah, I feel like Katinka is a pretty solid player, but I mean I guess she hasn't like openly really been trying to play the game till now. But I mean she hasn't been to too many tribal councils either. So
Before I
Yeah,
forget the comparison, she reminds me of the person from Cove Wrong, who's also very young, who's playing a good game, but then we just didn't get to see too much of it. Jake, give me your name.
Julia Sokolowski.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
what a ball.
All right, we get to tribal and we get Vusi basically knowing that he's a threat. He repeatedly says, of course they're going after me or whatever. It's like, okay. So Vusi is voted out 5-3-2 over Palesa and Katinka, and he becomes the first jury member of the season. Anything else to say on the tribal council or on Vusi?
He does not take it well.
No.
Yeah, clearly just tries to sell it to himself more than anyone. I feel like that he's this huge threat that's why they took him out. I felt like he just told himself that so he could sleep at night.
Yeah, and then after watching so many seasons of Australian Survivor, it's refreshing to have the first merge boot be on the jury.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that it's very, very nice. I think does South Africa always have the first jury member be the merge boot?
3 of the 4 that we're watching, I know they do. I can't think of the 4th one because I know Return of the Outcast does, and then Immunity Island does.
I think Island of Secrets does as well.
Well, we will find out soon.
Yeah, we will find that out. I didn't want to spoil it for Michael, so
Yeah, I'm just like,
all right.
I do like in this episode we have a quote from Tom where he says, I could be one place up with 2 people who detest me, or one place less with people who I don't know if they detest me yet. But
Our
imagine
winner.
going into every social situation assuming detesting you is like the default.
Yeah. I'll say to Tom's pros for Tom here, he correctly goes with the group that's going to carry him through the game and knows that like he can't work with his Visayas people anymore because they don't like him. So
yeah, this is a good move from Tom. Like he's not a fantastic player, but I do give him some credit for kind of finding a good position for himself. And he would have been screwed in that group, and this one gets him way further than he probably should have got.
yeah. With Vusi also, are we gonna obviously not as offensive as Lee, but is he gonna get the Lee Award for being the jury member that doesn't shut up at tribal? Because I feel like he says a lot from the jury bench.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that. I noticed there was a lot of jury chatter in this season, but I feel like jury chat can be fun. It depends how vocal it is. Like Lee was full on shouting.
Yes.
And like talking, like there was a lot of whispering on the jury, which I think can be really fun when you see how that dynamic shown as a viewer. But if it's directly to the players and being open, then it switches into game tampering. But yeah, I think it was on the right side of things this time. but it's tough to know what's heard and what's not.
Right. Well, I mean, most of it is just very openly disagreeing with everything Tom says.
Well, I mean, that's fair. I mean, to be
Yeah.
fair, that's fair. But as Michael was saying, to me, there's like a scale. There's like this where you're like just talking, but it doesn't like interact with the game. Then Lee's on the other side, and then close to Lee is the jury members of Edge of Extinction, where there's like, oh
Oh
just
my
like doing
God.
that, which
Yeah.
is so over the top. It still pisses me off.
Yeah, that was very over the like Aubrey was her reactions to everything were just so annoying.
But Devin was getting up for his idol, and they're just like, wow.
If I play Vanquish again, that's gonna be my and I'm on jury. I'm just reacting over the top just to piss everyone.
Yeah. I was doing that during my season for moves I didn't even think were that impressive. I was like,
all right. So goodbye, Vusi, the mayor of Ponderosa or Jury Villa. All right. Episode 10. This is a great one. Anything before we get to the reward challenge?
I got nothing. You go, Matt. Work out where I'm at.
The only note I have is PK won't tolerate a hierarchy. And I'm like, yeah, smart man. Don't let them dictate you how the game is going to go.
Yeah.
Is the reward letters from home?
Yes. Yep. This is the letters from home episode.
Mine are after that.
Yeah. This is where all the notes come from.
Yeah. Only thing I have before that is Katinka upset she got votes against her. So that's all I have.
It's part of the game.
Yeah. All right, the reward challenges again from Kakiyan. Paddle with the letters on it, and they have to unscramble it into a word. And this is for letters from home. So, and Shanae, Palessa, Tony, and Werner win with PK joining as he was unselected, and this is where he gets the clue with the hot dog and beer.
Well, he actually doesn't get to go on the reward, but he gets it while watching the challenge.
Yes.
Which I actually like.
Yeah, I do too. So
we have Nico saying hot dog with all the trimmings. He says the thing. He does the thing.
Yes, he does. Trimmings instead of fixings, but yes.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Also on this challenge, Tom is one of the captains, and he picks John second overall. Bold move, Tom. Bold move.
People make bold moves when they're picking people in this season. So as we're gonna see in another episode when Tom and Palessa get to go together, but we'll get there.
Oh my God, I forgot about
that. I also have down after that PK and Tom argue, and so anything here with this before the immunity challenge with this argument or anything else?
For the first time they argue.
Yes, the first time.
Part one.
It's going to be a long running thing, yeah.
Sorry, go.
Mine's on the letters from home. I covered it on the Survivor UK that we spend 14 minutes on letters from home. In South Africa, we spend 1 minute 45 seconds. And even that is interrupted with PK running off looking for an idol. So it's like, a shift.
But before we get to that, I want to go back to the argument with PK and Tom. PK gives maybe one of the worst things that anybody has ever said to somebody. You are worse than Martinez. Like, that's just... That would hit you right in the core. Yes. But then one thing PK said that I do agree with is men talk to each other, not across other people, which I do like because Tom is like yelling across like all the women to get to PK. It's like no, just like go up to PK and then talk.
Yeah.
What was the crux of that argument?
Oh God, what was
I don't even remember.
I think just PK didn't like Tom?
Yeah, I think it was basically that and being mad he's not in power. And Tom is like...
and then also maybe because PK wasn't picked.
Yeah. Well, PK does find his idol as well here before the immunity challenge. So...
worked out well for him, yeah.
Yes, it very much does.
Yeah, and then you can see as Werner is reading his letter, you see PK off in the background. As he's looking for the eye, I was like, that was an awesome shot.
Yep. All right, so then the immunity challenge is holding on the knotted rope hanging over the water. We've seen this a bunch too. And Katinka is actually going to win immunity. I think it's down to her and PK drops. So good for Katinka.
This is also really funny where it's where he starts bringing out rewards as incentive for people to drop, and he brings out chocolate. And Tom has a funny line where he says, "I thought Satan lived underground," when he brings out the chocolate.
Funny.
Yeah, and then he brings out a small plate of pasta and wine. Werner automatically jumps down, but then Tom, Shanae, and Annalise do, and they have to share it. I'd be so pissed if I was Werner's like, no, I jumped out first. I'm getting this whole thing.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say I would be pissed if I had to share it with Tom.
That too.
They should have had a second rock draw. Who gets the pasta?
Oh, that actually would have been great.
All right. Anything else before tribal after the immunity challenge? I have that Werner is really gunning for PK here. So
I have, in my opinion, a fantastic comparison for Werner. He does the King George thing. He goes to Tom and says, "You have enemies, and I'm going to help you take them out one by one." He like instills this revenge tour into Tom, which is what George does with Jerry in Heroes versus Villains to get his revenge arc on the heroes that betrayed him, which I just thought was a lovely little link between Werner and George, who were the high points of both of their respective seasons.
Yeah.
That's good. And as Michael and I know, revenge tours are awesome, like with Liv Morgan. So,
yes,
and then also Werner says that no idols are showing up at this point in the game. Well, if only he knew about what was about to happen at this tribal.
Yep. And Shanae does try to get Annalise on board, but Annalise is keeping under wraps that she is with Mindanao, so Annalise has completely turned on her old tribe, which is smart for her at this point. So not go down with the sinking ship.
Yeah, I really like Annalise's relationship that she built with Werner and finding herself in a better position come merge.
Yeah, and as Werner has said in the post-swap portion of the season, like she is very good socially. And I think it actually does come through, which is social players sometimes like it's very hard for seasons to show that. And I think this one does at least give Annalise enough to be like, credit her with being a good social player. So
yeah, absolutely.
So then anything else before we do get to tribal? All right. This tribal is going to be crazy. So PK immediately stirs the pot by calling out the pecking order. And then Jean berates Visayas for their treatment of Tom. So at least Tom did get Jean to go to bat for him. So that's good on Tom, I guess.
I actually really like this. Like Tom is prickly, but people are kind of abrasive to him, and and you could see in Tom's face, and it even comes up later, like how much that moment meant to him. Like he takes her on a reward for this.
Yes.
It meant a lot to have someone go to bat for him, and you could just see in his little face that he wasn't used to having someone speak up for him and be positive about him, and it was just a nice little defense. I really kind of respected that from Sean, and people do roll their eyes at him a lot, and it's like you might not always like him, but he's allowed his input and he's allowed his say.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, I'm just shocked again that Jean does not bring stuff up like this later on. I feel she doesn't really go in on this stuff as like stuff that is good for her in the game. But
yeah.
All right. Anything before we get to the craziness of the vote? All right, here we go. So they vote, and Palessa, PK, and Werner all get up to play idols, I believe, in that order. Palessa plays hers, which gets PK to play his, which obviously gets Werner to play one of his. And Tony was told to vote Shanae as like a decoy option, and Shanae voted Tom, so it leads to a 1-1 tie after all the idols negate the votes on Werner and PK. And on the revote, Shanae is blindsided in a 5-2 vote. So craziness. Yeah, it's so sad.
If you're gonna go out, like, what a way to go out. A triple idol play, all of which negate votes is. I mean, is there any other that's happened? Advantage getting, I guess, in game changes.
Yeah.
But so crazy. 3 idols. Werner obviously wasn't going to take the risk at that point.
Right.
Shanae just got caught in the crossfire.
Exactly. I mean, because if obviously PK tries to get Werner out, so yeah, very smart on Werner to play the idol after PK does. I believe Plessa does not get any votes at this round.
Yeah, she doesn't get any because PK gets rid of 5 and Werner cancels out 2.
Yeah.
Speaking of the idols, I love how every idol looked different. Which is something I wish more seasons would do. It's hard to prove you have an idol if it looks different than somebody else's idol.
Yeah, and it's not just beads on a necklace.
Let's not even start there. At least the amulets look cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And you could plan fake idols more realistically because you don't know what they look like, so you could just plan anything. I feel like they knew that Werner had an idol, didn't they? At least one was an open thing. So I feel like at that point, if you're going to be playing idols, don't go for someone you know definitely has one, because in that situation, of course, Werner's going to play his idol. At least if you're going to put a couple of votes on someone, put them on someone that you're going to get the result of getting a number out rather than trying to take him out with an idol. It was always going to backfire.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they probably should have put their votes on Tom at that point and get Tom out, and you have Shanae as like a number that's going to go to bat for you. So this was definitely a misplay on PK and specifically on Tony's part. So, and sadly, Michael's heart was broken seeing Shanae go.
My heart shrunk 3 sizes that day.
Oh, you definitely need to get that checked out, man.
Yeah. No, I was sad to see her go, and so goodbye, Shanae, and you are on the jury with Vusi. All right.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right. Episode 11, some interesting stuff continues to happen. I just have that the big thing before the reward challenge is that Tony blows up at Werner post-tribal. And basically, is very angry at Werner for betraying Blue Blood or going against Blue Strong. So
she did it first. She also says for Katinka, the biggest dumbass in Survivor. It's like, come on.
Yeah. She's mad that someone 20 years younger than her is gonna go farther than her. So
she's playing all right. Like I don't know. I feel like Katinka doesn't deserve the shit that she gets, especially in that regard. That was just way over the line.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, Katinka is one of the teenage players. She is 19 in this season, so she's doing pretty well for someone that young.
Mm-hmm. And she doesn't mention every 5 minutes like that guy in Survivor US.
Will
Wall or Sammy in 43.
Sammy, I was thinking. Wait, they're not going to believe I'm 19. He just kept going on about it.
Yeah. I'm 22 or whatever he said. It was something that wasn't even that impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I guess Sammy's is more believable than Sue saying she's 45.
Okay. I'm going to talk about this now. Like, it could be true. I'm terrible with ages, like the older we get. So I could be like, okay, 45. I could maybe see that if she had like a hard life. If she was like drinking and drugs, it could happen.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't mean to go against Sue with that, but it just was funny. That's something I noticed when I watched.
Yeah, and you definitely need to be careful about going against Sue because she will hold that as a personal grudge for the rest of the season.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry, Sue. I
Yeah.
don't mean to go against you with that.
Yeah. All right, back to South Africa, Philippines. Before the reward, the only note I have on the Tony talking to Werner, she kind of makes a good point of saying, why do you need to bring me in? I should be there already, which is like a good logical point. Like if they're in an alliance, you don't need to bring me in on the vote at the last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think Tony kind of sets this up for herself where we don't see a lot of how she is at merge with these people, but taking out Tevin and then she's saying she's finding herself on the bottom. But I feel like you have to approach that and try and rebuild that bridge because you did make a move against the blue people. You can't expect them to just be, okay, cool, and you're right back where you were. Like maybe she could have sold that better. And I feel like people might understand that Tevin is a big threat and it makes sense to get rid of him and she's still with them. But I don't know, maybe she didn't sell that well enough.
Yeah. Or because Tevin's not there in the game anymore and he's not on the jury, be like, oh yeah, he was like, I'm going to go after Werner, or just make up some like bullshit lie that can't be fact checked now.
Yeah, they could have definitely gone that route, and they definitely don't say that as far as we're shown, at least.
Yeah.
All right. So we do get the reward challenge, which is an Australian Survivor original, the spinning wheel with the ball in it. And we get a gifable reaction from Annalise. I did notice that where she is like, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like a really funny smile. And,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
As soon as she gets the ball going, she's like, "Oh,
yeah."
I know what you're talking about now." First, I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about," but then once you said like the eyes,
yeah. And Palessa is going to win this challenge, and this is where Tom has the open trash talk, and Palessa takes Tom on the reward.
Yeah, it turns out not being liked sometimes works in your favor.
Apparently. It's just a very funny relationship that I guess pays off in some weird way at the end of the season.
Yeah.
And pays off in this episode a little bit, which
I was gonna say, yeah.
So
she has this quote of picking Tom. I'd rather be eating the fruit of my own labor with someone who openly dislikes me. What? No, that's what?
I like Palessa a lot.
Yeah.
But I just think, I mean, obviously this episode, her downfall, she very much plays this poorly.
Yeah, and plus, if I had to pick anybody to spend a night in bed with, have tapas and a bottle of wine, Tom is probably not on the top of that list. He's probably, I don't know, last?
Yeah, that would be my reaction too.
Middle? Who would be? Oh, Jean. I probably would not want to talk with Sean, so I get you. I would put her bottom.
Yeah,
I'm sure she wouldn't want to be with you either.
That's fine. I'm just saying talking because she hates men, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, true. We're all dead to her. All right, Palessa does find another idol as well here at this reward, which got on her that she finds it, but
they're always right there.
Yeah.
She just like fumbles into them.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, Palessa is very lucky this season and then does not capitalize on this, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
this reminds me of somebody for a future season, which I won't say, who also just keeps stumbling into like different things.
Yeah, we'll get there. I think I know who you're talking about, but we'll get there.
Yeah, I'll tell you later because I don't want to say which season.
Yeah. All right, and Palessa with the other idol, she asks Tom to inform her if she is the target so she can play. I mean, Tom doesn't see that she finds this, but yeah, that's the deal that she makes with him to inform her if she is going home. So
I mean, this again is also a really good move from Tom that he doesn't do that. I completely assumed, well, he's going to tell her because he's not that kind of player. He'll give her the heads up. and he doesn't do it. And I do think that's a big factor in what we'll get to at Tribal Council.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else before the immunity challenge? All right.
Nope.
All right. Immunity is the block spelling immunity with the rope and getting back with both feet, or 1 foot, I think, at least in this case. Werner does win the immunity challenge. So I think this is the first of Werner's immunity wins, because I think he wins 3 of them.
I think
Sounds about right.
Yeah,
He was
two
pretty
or
solid.
three.
Yeah.
But this is the part where I would have nightmares if I was Tony, because she was almost there, and then she just loses focus for a split second. Like, oh, that would haunt me forever.
Yeah, absolutely. And so we anything before Tribal Council happens.
We have Werner saying, "Simple plan. It's not only the name of a band; it's also a good idea." Which really made me laugh.
Oh, it gets that one. That's pretty good. The only quote I have is, "If Palesa plays an idol, then whoever her and PK vote for will be going home." You have a 6-2 majority, so Jean, split the votes, then you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. It's crazy that they just don't do that, because I think it's talked about, like, it's PK and Palesa that they can split on, and they don't. They just load up on Palesa.
Katinka actually mentions a split vote plan, which I was like, way to go, Katinka. That's absolutely the right thing to do here, rather than this crazy plan the rest of them come up with.
Yep. All right. So Tom, he either doesn't inform Palesa or tells her that she's not going home. So Palesa's not going to go in and play her idol, and Palesa is going to be blindsided 6-2 with the idol in her pocket, which honestly, if I were her, I would have definitely played it, knowing that 2 of my other Visayas allies have gone home in the last 2 tribals. I just would not be taking that chance.
Yeah, my jaw hit the floor when she didn't play it. I was in that position. I just can't believe she didn't. It was genuinely. I was watching this, and I have vague memories of the season, and I was like, oh, I know this person doesn't go. I know this person doesn't go. Palesa can't go because she's going to play her idol. So who goes in this position? And I was like, holy shit, she didn't play it. It is also at this tribal council. Tom says, I know not one of those 2 people that are currently on the jury are going to give me their votes for a million. And Shani just shakes her head. It's like clearly Tom is doing well with jury management.
Yep. Well, apparently he knows more than us, and it's going to work out for him. But I'm pretty sure we also get Vusi probably saying it something about against Tom. So, but yeah. So anything else about Queen Palesa? This is just, as Michael said, I just am floored she did not play it at this point. So.
I like how she has a good, I don't know if it's a sense of humor, but when she comes back for the final tribal, she's wearing it as a necklace, which I was like, that is like a nice way to take it in stride.
Yeah, she does talk about that at final tribal as well. So good on her.
Isn't her idol a grenade as well?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like she's wears the grenade which is fitting because she blew up her game.
Yeah, don't mess with the queen. But they did, and they got her out. So, all right. Episode 12. This is basically where Tony and PK's fates are sealed as the next 2 boots. Now, anything before we get to the reward and immunity?
We get Tony being angry once again. It feels like it's every episode there is Tony being angry at the result of tribal council. And Werner says the only concern I have is breaking her heart, which is again such a cold line.
Yeah, Tony is not one of my favorites in the season. I'm sure she's a lovely person. It's just in this season, I feel like it's a little bit a little bit annoying that I think her and PK absolutely put themselves in this position. But again, it's tough out there, so I understand it.
And as I said, plus she was on the tribe and the beach that had like no food source.
Yeah,
So I can only imagine that definitely probably led into things. Going to Werner, he's talking to Annalise and he says this, "Who are you more afraid of, Tom or Jean?" And he's dead serious. I don't know how I would take that if I was ever asked that. It's like neither.
Neither, yeah.
Well, that's going to be even more shocking that this is our final two.
I know. I made sure to have notes like these throughout the season because it still shocks me. And speaking of Jean, she has this quote of, "We knew that Palesa didn't have an idol." Oh, Jean.
Oh, Jean. All right. Then the reward and immunity is the memory picture blocks. This was also an Australian Survivor 2016, and Tom is going to win his first immunity. So, and it didn't take him long to do it. So, at least
suck
on the
at
show. Yeah.
This is like my worst nightmare.
I think I would do decently, but yeah, no, I mean, Tom does it pretty quickly. I don't know that I would be this fast.
Yeah, I think I would be like how Werner did. I'd be the first one to their back, but then I would make a mistake of having the bird fly the wrong way.
Yeah. So. Yeah. All right. So then Tom, Werner, and Jean go on the reward where they do form a final three.
Which totally pays off.
Almost pays off, but doesn't.
So it does become like a really interesting thing throughout the rest of the season as well. This final three deal that gets made becomes a big sticking point for who's in the final three and who's not.
Yes.
Yeah. And then this is also where Tom gets down on his knees to propose to Jean to take her on the reward in a very awkward moment.
He's like, get up.
Tom then exiles Tony and Annalise because he's going to exile Tony and then send one of their alliance over there as well. So this is where Annalise is going to get they're both going to get this extra vote and Annalise is going to get Tony to give her extra vote if Tony leaves, which does end up paying off for her. So the only other thing I have well, I guess like the three on the reward don't get to go back to tribal, but the other big thing I have obviously is PK Island. Anything else?
It's really interesting that you have three three separated islands that and then they don't get to discuss anything before they go back to tribal. We also have Werner getting everyone drunk on the reward to try and get information from them, which he's just like, I'm not going to drink, but I can make sure these guys get drunk. One last thing from the immunity challenge as well is Nico gets snarky with, I think, Tom, where he says, "Are you the host suddenly?" Where Tom's trying to take over after the...
Yeah.
I can't remember the specifics, but it made me laugh.
Oh, it was like... he wins and he's like, who can I take with me? And then he's also like, can I take one more?
Yeah, he's like, "Are you the host suddenly?" Like you're getting ahead of the game. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Some of my other notes from this is when Tom sends Tony and Annalise to exile, Jean has this great confessional of Exile Island. When did we get one of those? Then don't forget that this is where Tony and Annalise get some bio strength again. Just saying. And then there's the buried treasure on Exile, which was discovered by some leaves. And then Jean also has this quote: "The worst thing that can happen on Exile is that Annalise gets tired of Tony and stabs her in the face."
All right. So we get to tribal immediately, and it seems because of PK Island, Katinka flips the vote to Tony at tribal when PK was the intended target. So
so Tony gets the extra vote and puts it in her hat and leaves it, which it's so brutal. You can see Annalisa's face light up when Tony tells her about the extra vote, where it's like, "Yep, I'm taking this from you." um, and
Yep.
what else there? This is also one of the stupidest moves for Jean, where when they're on their reward island together, she continues to just tell Tom that she can't give him any more than 5.
Yeah.
It's like, why are you constantly telling this guy that I want you to stick with us, but once we hit 5, you're out of the game. But don't go against me.
John is so frustrating. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
she lucked into this position basically, but she's not maximizing the luck that she gets. She actively is destroying it. So
Yeah, going off what Michael says about Tom. Not only that, but she thanks Tom for being happy at going home at 5. Like, if somebody ever told me that, thank you for just giving up at 5, I'd be like, fuck you. I'm flipping shit.
yeah. So so we get to the vote, and Tony, because Katinka switches it, Tony is voted out 5-2 over PK, calls Werner a snake, and leaves the extra vote for Annalise.
It's so funny because Werner, it had nothing to do with Werner.
Yeah.
And he was just kind of like, what? And she says, don't trust Werner. He's promised you all something. And he's just sat there like, oh, I mean, he has, but like,
Yeah, I mean, he has, but still.
It was Katinka.
Yep. All right. So anything else to say on Tony here?
Yeah, she got very emotionally invested in it, and didn't take it well. For like the post swap to her elimination was kind of rough, but I really liked her as a player up until that swap into the tribe with PK.
Yes, she actually was in a great position up until that point, and then her and PK do make the mistake of getting rid of Tevin. So
yeah, she was doing really well until Josie fucked her over by bringing her over. So
yeah, I will agree with that. All right, we're on the home stretch. Episode 13. This is where PK basically has nowhere to go, but he does try to stir the pot. And PK does try to tell Tom that he's not actually part of the final 3, because Katinka does spill the beans about that, which it does loom large into this these next couple episodes.
Yeah, I really love when someone on the bottom has absolutely nothing left to lose and just blows shit up. And PK's got nothing to lose here, so he just puts everything out on the table from his perspective. We also get a fun confessional from Werner where he says, "I'm not the bus driver. I built the bus."
Yep,
very accurate.
That was my first note too.
Yeah. We do get to the auction where Katinka gets a challenge advantage. We also have the peanut butter, that the shot of Werner sticking his fingers in and licking. Other than
speaking of the auction, Werner, he pays $200 for a bowl of covered rice, blah blah blah. Werner is great at running up the price, because even if he doesn't want something, he just keeps bidding, so more people spend all of their money. And then PK wins something, and then he gets the Monty Hall deal about getting the second option, and he declines. Always take the second option.
Yeah. Anything else interesting about the auction?
Got nothing on auction.
Yeah, this is probably one of the least interesting auctions in Survivor history, to be honest. So Katinka's challenge advantage really means nothing. It's the pinball puzzle challenge, the Luke Toki Memorial Challenge.
Well, I say the advantage is freaking awesome, but it just doesn't matter for her because her time is cut in half if she misses the ball. Like that would be a great advantage to have. But she just
if you don't suck.
She just wasn't good.
I meant that. Yeah, it just doesn't mean anything. So because Werner wins. I mean, anything else before we get to the tribal council here?
There's one of my favorite moments from PK of the entire season, where PK is asking her about the plan, And Katinka says, I spoke to everyone. PK says, who's everyone?
Who's everyone?
Katinka says, all the people.
All the people. Yep.
PK says, who are all the people? And Katinka's just like,
yeah. She's bad at lying. That was my note.
Yeah, this is a fun relationship, honestly, and I think Katinka should have actually worked with PK, and she does not. She lets this relationship go instead of actually working with it. So
yeah. Speaking of PK, I have some more notes. Oh, sorry, Michael.
No, I have. We also get another confrontation between Tom and PK.
Yeah, that
was
gonna be my note.
It's so funny because Werner tries to push it towards that happening, and as Tom's walking back into camp about to confront PK, Werner just has the biggest smile on his face, knowing that this is all about to blow up at camp, and it's so good.
And then when PK knows that Tom is about to yell at him, PK just gives this aspirated sigh of, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't there also like a postseason story that PK and Tom actually like had a fist fight or something?
I think they actually, because PK said I would knock you out or something. So then they actually did do like a challenge, or did do like a boxing match for charity.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
Who won it?
I'll go on. I think
I would assume Tom, because that's really funny where he's just like, I'll knock you out, old man. And Tom's just laughing like, bring it.
I'll find it. I'll find it.
Yeah, we'll find it later. All right. So yeah, PK continues to stir the pot at Tribal. Annalise considers using the extra vote, but does not, and PK is unanimously voted out. So
yeah, like PK's got nothing here. There's only so much you can do, and I don't know what more he could have done. He does go out again, making me laugh, where he does a mock of what Tony did, where he gets him and says, "You're a snake, you're a kangaroo, you're a koala."
Yeah, it was really good. I liked it too, because first he does, "You're a snake," and Werner's like, "Oh, come on, not again." But then he just keeps going.
Yeah. I do like PK, despite him making a bad move. I think he's a really fun player and a really fun character. So, yeah, I'm glad he gets a call to come back. So,
yeah, I think he's like the underdog players are always fun, and he actually put himself in that position, but he does do well to last as long as he does. There's at this tribal council as well, everyone's piling on Werner for being the kingpin, and that's when you get Vusi from the jury whispering he is the kingpin.
Vusi. The mayor of Ponderosa is very vocal about who he dislikes.
Yeah.
All right. So, goodbye, PK. All right. Episode 14.
Before we get there, I did some research to see what the fight was. I was wrong. It's not a boxing match. It's an MMA UFC match. And Tom wins after it looked about 1 minute. So,
oh no,
jeez, I didn't expect like that was gonna be that quick.
Yeah, well, it may have been longer, but the clip I saw just said that. And then Tom wins after like a knee to the face of PK. So,
what?
Yeah, Tom has some good moves.
Dirty old man.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that that's the result. I'm just like, how did this happen? So it was like a knockout?
No, it wasn't like a knockout. I think the ref just called it because it was for charity. So I don't think they wanted to get seriously hurt. So because that knee did look brutal. I sent you guys the link too.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that.
I'll have to look at it after. All right. So to begin the episode, Werner does realize with the jury potentially being bitter against him, thinks John would calm the jury down if she goes to Jury Villa, so he considers letting John go at the top of this episode. And I mean, maybe that should have actually been the consideration, but I know events of this episode do lead to what happens. So,
yeah, I mean, Werner's been thinking about letting Jean go since episode 1. It's been like a constant thing throughout the season.
Right.
This is where we also get Annalise kind of telling Katinka about the extra vote she has, but she's kind of lost the power to use it now, at least in a way that could have worked and made sense, because Werner's 3 are so impenetrable. It's the time was the previous vote. Like maybe if she'd been able to bring in Katinka at that point when PK was still in the game, like they could have made something work there. But now it's just like she's clutching at straws.
Yeah, I think that PK vote is a wasted opportunity. Again, if a vote is like unanimous like that, I just feel like it's not a good thing for some of the people that agree to vote unanimously. So
yeah.
All right. Then Katinka does approach Tom to blindside Werner, but Tom does tell Werner he's being betrayed, which is going to lead to what happens. So I think Tom definitely makes the right call to like get Werner on his side here. So again, another thing I will give him credit for this.
Yeah, completely agree. Like his position, if Werner's gone, is so much worse. And yeah, this was actually really good from Tom, and also really good from Katinka. Though it's the right thing to do. She just, unfortunately, it gets leaked back to him. But I didn't think for a long time in the season that Katinka was the kind of player that would have this kind of game savviness about her, and to take out the biggest threat in Werner is absolutely the right thing for her to do at that point.
Yeah. Anything else before we hit the reward challenge? All right. The reward challenge is the family visit, and this is the rope course that Werner ends up winning.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to give us another U.S. comparison of this challenge was on this season.
Millennials versus Gen X with Adam and his brother.
Yep, that is actually correct. Wow, that is okay. So, fuck me for trying to put you on the spot. Okay. This is also the
Jake's memory.
Yeah, you're right. This challenge also brings back the phone reward, which I just got a kick out because it always just reminds me of like seasons like 10 through like 22, where Jeff was always like, "And make sure to take pictures with this sidekick slide phone or whatever."
There's also a brilliant quote from Jean where she's just excited because I want to meet the woman who said yes to Tom.
Yes.
As do we all.
Yeah.
And then Werner wins and takes Katinka and Tom. And the reason he picks Tom is Tom doesn't get a lot of opportunities to take his wife to island locations. Like, that's such a backhanded compliment.
Yeah. All loved ones are actually encouraging people to vote Werner out as well.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
You love when the loved ones encourage the players to play the game.
Yeah, I really like those ones where the loved ones come back to camp with them and they have a day, and it does often lead to those kind of moments where they encourage them to make the big move and take out the biggest player. And I think it kind of gives the players a bit of a realization of why they're there, and they if there's someone in their way to winning, they should take them out.
But then sometimes the family member, like Brandon Hans's father, comes back and threatens Coach.
Yeah. This is also unfortunately what leads to Malcolm's downfall in Philippines. Is Lisa getting like the second wind in her game to be able to get him out. So
we get Tom with his wife back at camp, where she says, "I can't believe you ate Nemo," and Tom says, "Nemo, Dory, the whole lot of them."
Jeez, Tom.
So good though.
Well, goodbye to Finding Nemo, the entire cast.
Well, I mean, Crush is fine because nobody's going to eat a turtle unless if you're actually in Gabon, which is a story.
Yeah. All right. Immunity challenge time, and this is the stacking the 10 wobbly bowls on the structure with the tuning fork that we've seen very often as well, and Tom wins and has the very emotional reaction to winning this challenge.
I have a theory about this.
Ooh, go for it.
I think Werner lets Tom win this challenge.
Oh.
So Werner is like rock solid, and he's right there with the last one, and he's really slow with the last one. Werner knows he's safe. He has his idol. And if Tom wins this challenge, Werner doesn't have to break his word about the 4. This forces that split with Tom having the challenge win, because if Tom's there eligible to be voted, he doesn't vote Tom out, he's breaking his word to the players left in the game that he promised final 4, final 5, whatever it is to. But now they have to break up.
True.
And if Werner already knows he's going to play his idol and he's going to be safe, then why not let Tom have the immunity and keep those relationships solid?
I actually like that theory. I think that's plausible. Very plausible. Anything else?
No, I'm just mad that I didn't think of that. So screw you, Michael.
I was really happy with that. I think it makes sense. If you watch it well, like, he literally has the final disc on his thing, and he's just not. He was so far ahead of Tom up to that point, and then the next thing you know, Tom's winning. I feel like that makes sense for Werner, but who knows?
Yeah. Yep. Right before Tribal, Tom and Werner choose, because John's name is now on the chopping block from Katinka and Annalise, who wants to use her extra vote. And Tom and Werner want to save Jean, and they decide that they want to blindside Katinka, seeing her as, I guess, the bigger threat, which, again, is impressive. Katinka might be one of the best 18, 19-year-olds to ever play in history, because she's become a big threat.
Yeah.
So...
yeah, absolutely. And like we said, this is the right move for her. It just backfires. And I never blame people for being voted out, making the right move that makes sense for them. And this absolutely was that for her. We also get a good quote saying, are you going on to find out which name to write down tonight? Kind of really building up that leader of the mafia that Werner has become.
True.
Yeah. And he definitely is one, because he has this quote too. I'm happy that we're giving Jean the privilege and the experience to go from the island to the jury. It's like, wow, Werner. That's the coolest line.
That is good. Cool. All right. So we get to the tribal council, and this is where Werner, Annalise going to play. She's going to play her extra vote. Werner is going to play his second idol for Jean. And the men blindside Katinka in a 2-1, 2-0 vote. So
this is brilliant.
Yeah,
like this is Werner's move of the season. It's so good to flip this back on her, and if Tom doesn't come to him, like we said, like, this solidifies Tom's path to the end. And it's also a big move for Tom. You know, Werner's definitely the clear, visible player doing these things, but this is a big winning move for Tom. And I think when you look at Tom's game, this is probably we talked about the Matthew to Gabe vote. This is a huge move that could essentially be his winning move.
Yeah, and it is. Yeah, I totally agree with this. I think this is definitely the move of the season. And I mean, it doesn't work out for Werner, unfortunately. I don't know whether to say a different move should have been made, because I don't think that, but I think the move is, unfortunately, Werner took a lot of, I guess, perceived goats with him, and we'll talk about that shortly, but...
yeah.
Anything else to say on this move or on Katinka?
I really liked her. Yeah.
Yeah. Before we get to, I'll just say Katinka. Yeah, I really liked her. I wish she would have came back, because she seems really fun, but she is a social media influencer and she's making bank. So I don't blame her for not coming back. I just have this one quote from Werner during Tribal. Today, information came to me like normally. Like he's starting to get a little too cocky, and then I think because this episode had a lot of quotes like that, so I think they wanted to show why his downfall was coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a huge jury play, like the way that Werner delivered it to the jury, and when he played the idol for Jean, it was so over the top and dramatic, and just a pure show for the jury, and ultimately things like that do lead to his undoing.
Sadly.
Yeah, because Werner tells John, I know you're a super fan, so why don't you come up and play this idol for yourself?
I,
Yeah,
and I don't necessarily, I mean, clearly Jean is going to end up turning on him, so I guess, maybe he shouldn't have played it in this way, but I get what he's doing.
Yeah.
So, um, all right. Episode 15. This is a sad, sad episode.
yeah,
Um, all right. So we began the episode with Werner making a final two deal with Tom. And from his perspective, I think like he definitely believes that Tom will stick to his word with him. So
yeah. It's again, it's kind of the King George thing of like he's such the obvious person to take out at this point.
mhm.
He's brought goats along with him, like you said, and at this point, if Werner doesn't have immunity, like who in the hell's going to take him? It would just be madness.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where Werner now just has to win immunities to the end. It's the only way.
Yeah. Yep. And anything else before the reward challenge?
Tom lets Werner take the credit for the Katinka move. So that's a good move by Tom by letting even
Yeah.
more of a target go onto
Yep.
Werner.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. All right. So the reward challenge is the Dominoes challenge, and this is for the spa reward. And Tom once again wins. So Tom is a little bit of a challenge beast in this season, actually. So I was impressed on this rewatch with that because I didn't remember Tom won so many challenges.
Yeah, and then as we found out during this podcast, he's also a beast in a UFC ring. So
So he takes Jean, and there we get Jean persuading Tom they need to take out Werner, which impressive from Jean slightly that she is actually the one that is steering this boat.
Yeah, she goes from being like completely in with Werner to there is nobody else's name I'm writing down. It's like it's such a quick shut off.
And she doesn't do a good job she doesn't really claim this as like something that she really did either, which is just shocking because this is really her move.
She doesn't claim anything.
But yeah, we'll get there. But
yeah, because she had good logic with Tom on this one by saying beating the best doesn't mean that you have to stand next to them at the end. You beat the best by voting them out, which is logic I've always followed. It's like I don't want to be like a coach and be iron sharp as iron, and we have to face each other at the end. It's like, no, I got you out.
right, for sure.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with that. Even though I didn't do that, and I almost did iron sharpens iron in my season.
Well, to be fair, you're also the only winner here, so maybe Michael and I's logic is flawed.
Well,
Yeah,
it worked out, but it almost didn't, I don't think. All right, so then the immunity challenge, we get the dragon puzzle. I think this might actually be a unique puzzle. So that's pretty cool. And John pulls out the upset and ends up winning.
Yeah, from last place because this is also they had to run through the maze too to get the puzzle pieces.
Yeah,
it's like a chaos cast come from behind win. It's crazy, and or like a way where like the person you do not expect to win a challenge like that. And this essentially seals Werner's fate.
Yeah, do you guys think that this was originally like, do you think with Martinez quitting it kind of offset the schedule slightly? Because that round was meant to be a non-elimination. Like in terms of like the end game, was it going to be a final three facing the jury instead of a final two?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that could make sense.
I don't know about the challenge, but I think they may have added in the juror removal twist.
Yes,
as a way to offset that.
Right, because they needed to not have it be a tie at a final two. Yeah. So
yeah. Although it would have been great if it was a tie, and the tiebreaker is Martinez coming back.
I actually don't know who Martinez votes for out of that final two.
Oh my god!
He just turns around and walks back out.
And then we have to draw rocks.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I mean, is there anything else to say here other than Werner gets voted out 3-1, unfortunately?
Just that he's fantastic. He
Yes.
like really does hold this season together in terms of the gameplay. He's across it, and it's such a good performance from him. And yeah, maybe his only negative of his gameplay is not keeping a couple of threats around, like a PK or someone that everyone's like looking at as a target.
Yeah.
Because at this point, yeah, he's got no chance. But fantastic character in the season.
Yeah. I mean, I think had the Tevin move not been made, I could have seen Werner having that strategy of keeping threats around, but that just didn't work out in his favor. To have Tevin there.
Yeah. Also, I
Yeah,
just want to say, Jean says that Werner on the jury would be an advocate for her over Tom. Well, as we'll see next episode, she's very good at flipping her mind very quick.
And
yeah,
honestly, she flips her mind the wrong way, in my opinion.
Yeah.
yeah,
Which
completely.
which Werner says during the reunion that if
Yes.
he was on the jury, he would have fought for Jean.
Yeah. What? I just
Yeah,
don't understand.
I will quickly cover it now as we're on it, but because like nothing about Werner's exit from the game gives you the information that he's going to be bitter, or he's perfectly fine with them leaving. I just don't know where they got that from. Like he deserved to be on the jury. It hurts
Yeah,
so much to have
it
him
does.
ripped away from it.
Yeah, I don't like jury removal. I think
Damn.
I haven't liked it any time that it's been used. So,
Maybe the one in Tauranga Neil.
I mean, yeah, but but I just
Yeah, I don't agree with it as a concept.
Yes.
I think it's too unfair to the players. Like you've made the jury, you should be on there and have your say. That's the whole point of the jury.
yeah, so South Africa likes using it to my memory for whatever reason.
Yeah, there's two of them.
And
Oh no.
then Australian Survivor obviously did it with Tessa in 2017, which sucked as well
And
because
and Shawnee in Heroes versus Villains.
yes, and Shawnee,
Yeah.
of course, yes. Sadly. So it's yeah, International Survivor apparently loves this twist.
Yeah. So at least US Survivor realized, wait, this is a bad thing. And then they haven't brought it back. Instead of taking away jury votes, we're just going to take away your vote.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right, let's get to the finale. So we get to the final immunity challenge, which is Samotion, classic final immunity challenge. And this is where Jean wins her second immunity in a row and yeah, gets to remove her juror, as we've already talked about. So
One thing is on the live show as well. We cut from the on island footage to the live studio,
yes.
and Nico is with the cast in the green room, and he says, "Our final three are waiting in anticipation and lust." It's like, what?
Maybe it
don't
means
think
something.
that.
Maybe it means something different down there in South Africa.
Really, so bizarre.
All right. Anything before we get to this tribal council where Werner is voted off jury and Jean votes Annalise out?
Just that Tom said that he needs to win tomorrow, or his betrayal was worth nothing. So he didn't win. So does that mean his betrayal is worth nothing? Using his own logic.
I had a note on that where it's kind of reminiscent of the Ferris Kirby relationship where Ferris takes out Kirby and then he has to go and win. He loses that challenge, and it's like, man, I took out my closest friend out here, and now I could be going to the jury myself. So yeah, I thought that was a fun little like similarity there.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I mean, yeah, so Annalise gets voted out. We already talked about jury removal. So I mean, Annalise being the fallen angel, again, we talked about how she didn't get as big of an edit necessarily, but I feel like I saw enough of her game and it was highlighted enough that I can still feel like she was a really good player. So
yeah.
I think she surely beats both John and Tom in the final two.
Yeah.
So
100%. I assume so, yeah.
Yeah. I also feel bad for her because she gets voted out and then she has to immediately go to the jury
yes.
bench. I would be like, fuck you. You guys are going to wait. I'm going to walk down this path. I'm getting the full experience of being voted out.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was interesting. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, anything else to say on Annalise? Are we ready to get to final tribal council?
I wish you would have come back somehow, but I don't know where because they've only done one All-Star season, so it's kind of hard to put
Yeah.
everybody back.
Yeah, I mean, again, yeah, we'll talk about maybe who deserved to come back when we get there.
Martinez.
All right. Final tribal council. So we get to final tribal. We have the weird new jury format that everybody doesn't like compared to the questions, which is I wish they just would have done questions, but we get highlights here, and I'm sure we'll talk about some other ones, but and Jean's arguments. Vusi hates Tom, so we got Vusi actively saying he will never vote Tom to win. So, Jean's seen as a goat basically, and Tom has a good final tribal. I actually will
Yeah.
absolutely support his final tribal. Really, really was good. And then Jean says luck was the only thing that got her there, and she keeps harping on this luck argument, and I'm just like, Jean, what are you doing? You get here and your only argument is you did nothing but get lucky.
Yeah. PK absolutely destroys her. He says, "Are you saying doing nothing was a strategy? Are those trees behind you
Yeah.
strategy?"
Yep. I have that too. It's like it's so good.
God, I don't understand. Like, she could have harped on, okay, I voted Werner off, but she's voted off someone that she can claim as her move, which was terrible, and then she's not crediting herself with this move to
Yeah.
get him out. I mean,
Yeah.
in my opinion, she would have been a zero vote finalist had Vusi not been so anti-Toms.
Had Lucy not absolutely despised Tom.
Yeah. Yeah, because as Jean kept saying, I didn't outlast, I was luckier. That is not a strategy. That is not a statement. Speaking of statements, there was no opening statement, which is something I like.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need an
Yeah.
opening statement. Just get into the jury and then have a way for them to close it out.
Mhm.
Like, I do think like luck is a big part of Survivor, and I do think accepting that there is a lot of luck in anyone's game is a viable thing to admit a tribal council, and also in terms of like not saying that I'm here because I'm better than each of these people. I had a lot of luck on my side, but don't claim it as like your only reason for being there.
Yeah. Yeah. Every winner in Survivor history has had luck on their side at some point in their game. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of one that did. Yeah, I was trying to think of a funny one, but I couldn't even think of one.
Maybe Rob from South Africa.
Oh.
That was pretty dominant.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Boston Robin Redemption.
No.
Yeah. He had no luck. That was rigged for him.
yeah. If a season's ever rigged, it would be Boston Rob's.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, Tom wins 6-1 over Jean. And out of the two options, yeah,
it was the correct one. It was
yes,
the correct
yeah,
one.
I would say that. We'll get to that when we talk about ranking Tom here shortly, but that's it. So let's get to our awards. All right, favorite player, I'm gonna go with Werner. So I mean, like that one's obvious for me, and so I have to give it to the guy that I think just strategically just controlled this entire season. So
Yeah, we're not in unison very often. Maybe we're going to be, because I have to give it to Werner. There was a lot of players on this season I really enjoyed, but Werner was just the glue that held this season together for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to pick somebody different if you picked somebody different besides Werner, but yeah, the obvious answer is Werner, because my other option was going to be Palesa. But as Sean said, luck really came into play for Palesa. But yeah, so Werner is definitely the favorite. I wish he would have come back.
Yeah, I do too. All right, least favorite player. I feel like we can all say Stacey Lee, but like I'm trying to think of any other options that were actually relevant to the season.
Yeah.
I'll go Stacey Lee though. I don't really have any other. I mean, I'm sure you guys might come up with someone else, but we'll see.
Like, I feel like Martinez is one in terms of gameplay that you could be like, oh God, this guy just sucks. But he did bring content to the season, which I at least enjoyed. So yeah, I think Stacey was just a nothing player, and sometimes I might dislike players more, but if they're giving something to the season, I can accept that more than someone who's just kind of there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not to go into units or say the same answer, but as I said at the top of the thing, I literally forgot who Stacey Lee was until you said her name. So yes, I'll put her as Lee's favorite.
Wow, we're all in agreement. This might continue through all these awards. Best move, I'm gonna say the Katinka move as well. I mean, it literally won Tom the game pretty much, and it was a great move by Werner. So yeah, I'll go the Katinka blindside.
See, it's difficult when it's a season where the answers are quite obvious. Like this was absolutely the move of the season. Maybe it's maybe just for the sake of difference. Oh, have you got mine? Does it involve angles?
Yeah, I was gonna say mine.
Okay, you have that one.
Is Tom making sure? Is Tom not telling Palesa she was the
triple idol?
Yeah, she was the vote.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't say the triple idol, but if you want to do the triple idol, you can do the triple idol.
Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. The triple idol play craziness.
All right, true. All right, different answers. Cool. I'm glad. All right. Who should return? I mean, I think we said it as well. I mean, I'll say Werner for sure. Should have returned. I would have loved to see him on Australia versus the World. But sadly that didn't happen. Annalise would be another option, but I'll stick with Werner.
My problem is I don't know who does return. So yeah, I know Werner doesn't, and I absolutely would have loved for him to return. Does Katinka return? No, you said no. He's doing well. Yeah, I would have actually liked to see Katinka again.
Yeah.
Same.
And Shanae, how did you forget?
Yeah, Shanae, your love.
My love.
Because as you said, when she got voted out, your heart shrank 3 sizes, so then you just kind of forgot.
I'm just trying to pump it back up. Yeah.
I'm going to give a different answer here. A very controversial one. Stacey Lee.
Oh God, what?
No, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. Since you already said Katinka and you said Werner, damn it, that person already came back. I'll say Annalise just to mix it up.
Yeah, makes sense.
And maybe even I honestly wouldn't be mad to see Tom play again just to see what that's like.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either at this point. All right, let's get to the rankings. For Tom Swartz, here are the winner rankings as they stand. The Golden God, David, is at number 1. Ferris, Mark Wales, Haley, Pia, Liz, Matthew Haywood, Jericho, Christy, and Shane Gold in the bottom spot. Tom, like I came in here before this rewatch being like, Tom is one of my least favorite winners. Rewatching it and like paying closer attention to his game, I actually don't like. We've said a lot of pros for his game. I feel like he had more game-defining moments than Shane. Definitely, aside from Christy's finale, like Christy had a great finale. I would argue he had more moments than Christy. But I'd at least put him above Shane, and then like we can see if he goes above Christy. But that's up to you guys.
Number 1, I can't do it, Matt. Sorry.
Even for the joke, I can't.
I think it's difficult where Tom loses to anybody but John, and he didn't take her; she took him, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I don't know if I can. He was so socially inept that he kind of got this victory through just happened to be sitting next to the right people or the right person. Whereas I think at least Christy was a very likable social player throughout the entire season. And she was a part of some moves. I do agree that Tom had some key moves, but he didn't have many that were just him. He was under the wings of someone like Werner. I struggle to think of what Shane did to get to the end, so I wouldn't mind putting him above her. But I think personally, I'd have Christy as above Tom.
Yeah, I can see definitely Christie still going above him because he was socially very, very bad. And that was like
Yeah.
the argument coming into this rewatch of like, because he literally couldn't have beaten anybody else, like, would I even put him above anybody?
Was he socially bad? Was he though? No, he was. Yeah,
He was.
because it could be because we talked about this. I think at the end of the UK one, we were all curious to find the exact moment where we all started to dislike Tom. I don't think there was like a big moment. I think it was just like all gradual throughout the season.
I didn't dislike him as much as I thought I did. Yeah,
same. I liked him way more now because now I'm not, because the first time I watched it, it's like, oh, Werner's going to win. Oh, Werner's going. Annalise is going to win, and then like the final two. So I like Tom more in this one, but yeah, I'm going to put him.
I'm changing my mind.
Oh, God damn it!
I don't think he is above Shane. I think, you know what, that Shane, especially for kind of like an older woman in Survivor, like Shane was someone who was not by being like just like pissing off her tribe. She's someone who was a target throughout that early game because of her age, and it's not very often you see someone of Shane's age make it that far and win Survivor, like, and especially Australian Survivor where it's so physical. I don't know. I suddenly went to bat for Shane. It just felt right. I don't think Tom's a great winner. Like I don't know.
Tom was also targeted early in the game. He was going to be the first one. What?
That was his own. That was his own doing.
Was it? No.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. It was, Matt.
I thinking back on Shane's game, I will agree a little bit and say like she did end up beating Sharn, who was the tougher competition. I think Shane probably could have beaten King Grubby because I don't think King Grubby was well liked by that jury. So yeah. I legitimately actually think Shane was in a better position to win that final three than Tom was, who literally he can't beat Annalise, he can't beat Werner, and so he's he's literally stuck against John. So in that sense, I would actually agree of putting him below Shane. Like we kind of probably came in thinking that we would.
Yeah, I told myself up and then I told myself back.
Seeing as my vote doesn't matter, I will put him above Shane.
Okay. So he is going to be the bottom international winner, which I actually was thinking I might not do, but we did it anyway. So
I think it's fair.
I liked him more this time, but still, you know.
Yeah.
And then next week when we do Island of Secrets, Rob's going on the bottom, according to every South African ever.
That's crazy to me. I'm just shocked to hear it. So you'll have to go into a little more detail next week.
Yeah.
But all right, international seasons. So the top 10 international seasons that we've covered. So we have Titans versus Rebels at number 1, Heroes versus Villains, Champions versus Contenders 2, 2017, Brains versus Brawn, All Stars 2016, CVC 1, UK, and Blood versus Water at the bottom. SA6 Philippines is literally the Survivor Gabon of the international seasons, as we've talked about. I guess the closest comparison, I feel like it's similar to Brains versus Brawn, and that they seem like more both the Gabon like seasons. Matt, you held up 6, so
I think I was putting it like a round where All Stars is. Because this has a lot of good moments. Like it has a rock draw on the second episode.
Yeah,
it has a triple idol play. You have Werner. So
yeah, for that alone, I enjoyed it better than All Stars. Although All Stars had the big Daisy blindside, obviously, and a couple other moments like this. Just
didn't all fit. Yeah. I'll put this at 5, just because if Werner would have gotten to the end, then I would put it over Brains versus Brawn.
Yeah,
I was below. I was way lower, but I think I enjoyed All Stars more. I think just because I cared about the game didn't necessarily go the direction I wanted, but I cared a lot more about those players, and I personally really enjoyed that season. I think I ranked it higher than you guys would have wanted to in when we ranked that season. What's below All Stars?
2016, the first Australian season.
That's personally where I'd slot it, but yeah, it's on you guys.
Ooh,
Yeah, so I'm putting mine above All Stars, but below Brains versus Brawn.
I'm gonna have to put it there as well, just because I think I enjoyed this more than All Stars. But I agree, like, there's just things there's things like specifically like once it kind of hits that like after the Palessa vote, I just feel like it's kind of like not as good as it could have been. Because I mean, we love Werner, but I mean, like that the rest of that post merge is really just getting rid of the bottom people, and then
Yeah.
and then
And then
obviously
the Katinka one, and then Werner,
yeah. So
Kind of like All Stars.
yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna have to. I'll put this at above All Stars. So all right.
Cool.
All right, so number 6. So that is 11 international seasons of Survivor, and next week or 2 weeks we will continue with South Africa because we're going to Island of Secrets, and we're talking about Rob Bentele and Nicole Capper and my boy Jacques.
and Steffi, the three
yes.
amigos.
Yes, yeah,
Dante. No, I don't want to talk about him.
yeah. Meryl.
Yeah.
Trying to think of some other people. Felix. Tanya.
Who's the big blonde guy? Rocco.
Rocco. Mama Letitia.
Yeah, some of these names are freaking crazy, Michael. So
Mama.
it is gonna be fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be at least what I can say about Island of Secrets is like again, still great quality season in terms of like production value and whatnot. It's not one of my favorites just because it is so dominant. But and a little dark at points. It sort of feels like a cult.
Yeah.
But apparently seasons with Rob as a winner, it kind of turns into a cult like kind of thing. We'll talk about it and we'll see if like opinions change. I've already rewatched the first episode. So yeah, we'll have to get to it. Any final thoughts going into that season?
Now look forward to watching the cult.
Yeah. I look forward to watching it, but I just want to say I enjoyed Philippines even more this time. So
yeah, absolutely. So with that, we will see you all next time for more International Survivor on the Tribe of Nerds.